Hey guys, it's your host Julian. This week I'm joined by Animation Destination host Brandon Jones to chat about our Mount Rushmore of animated pilots. I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons that help support this podcast. Bill, Brent, Eight-Legged Bird, Jacob, Jordan, and Monique. Thank you all so much for your support. It truly means a lot. If you want to become a member of our Patreon channel to help support this show and get all these episodes early and ad-free, follow the link below and sign up today. Now, let's talk about those pilots with Brandon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cartoon Chronicles podcast. I'm Mr. Julian. Today, I'm joined by Animation Destination's own Mr. Brandon Jones. Brandon, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hello, doing very well.
I'm glad you're doing well because, like I told you before we hit record, I got a bone to pick with you.
A
So, ladies and
bone.
gentlemen, this episode is going to be our Mount Rushmore of pilots for all animated series that we enjoyed. So, top four, and then we're going to give an honorable mention as well. Brandon
hmm
brought his five, and I bring my five, and we're going to talk about those. But before we get to that, I'm
hmm
very upset with you, Brandon. And you might ask
Okay.
yourself, why? Julian, are you
Why?
upset with Let me
Why?
tell you, my young Padawan.
Yes.
I am upset with you because one of the pilots that you gave me, I
Yes.
had never seen before. That
Oh.
one happened to be Infinity Train. And I
Oh.
am it was always on my back burner to get and watch.
Right.
Something always came up and it just slipped by, right?
Right.
However, I watched this one roughly about 10
hmm
minutes ago, and I go, God damn, did I miss something special? Obviously, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Absolutely.
But usually I let my guests go first and they get to pick whichever one they want. But Brandon, please pick Infinity Train so we can talk about this right now. It was so cool.
Absolutely. I would love to talk Infinity Train first. Yeah. So this pilot dropped on Cartoon Network's YouTube page, I think in 2012, I want to say. Um, and it just sort of popped out of nowhere. Owen Dennis, um, who been a storyboard artist, lots of different stuff throughout cartoons, dropped this pilot. It was one of the ones that he pitched to Cartoon Network, and they were in that little mode. It was around that 2012, 2014, where like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were dropping a bunch of cool like shorts onto Facebook and on YouTube, and it's like, oh, we're trying to get this social media thing going. It's like oh, but like a lot of pilots and stuff like that, and that one caught everyone's eye with Ashley Johnson's voice acting and all that stuff, and people were just like, "This is something. This is cool." And that thing got like 3 million views in like 1 week, and it was
Damn.
so over. It was crazy. This was not an okayed show. This was not like a we're making the show. This was just a pilot that they dropped randomly on their YouTube page, and it blew up so much so that everyone was requesting for this thing to get made, and it did. 2 years later, they actually greenlit the show. I remember, if you, I'm sure you could go back and check my recommendations on my podcast while this all went down, because I was documenting as this show was like getting kind of praised for what it wanted, and so I, for that reason, I think it's got to be up on my Mount Rushmore, even if it because it's not even like that memorable of a show. It's a show that's gone now too. It's off of like every streaming service, like HBO Max, like dropped it from theirs, so it's not even on their Adult Swim app, and it's very irritating. It's 4 seasons. I would say none of the seasons are as good as the first season, but all three prior seasons are good seasons. I think they're
Mhm.
all solid for themselves, but none really top that first one with Tulip at the first one. So, but yeah, I a lot of this. What did you take out of it? What did you enjoy most about just this one pilot? So,
What I loved about it was so unique and it was so different. And then you watched and you see that tag come across and it says Cartoon Network. Obviously, the art style is very reminiscent of, like regular show and Adventure Time, kind of Steven Universe. That's the vibes I got, but it's valid. It's during that era. So, it's got that what do they call that? Like oh, I'll come back to that word a little bit later. It'll
right.
bother me for a little while.
Mm,
Inspired, that's the word I'm looking for.
right.
Almost like inspired in a sense,
hmm
right?
hmm
And then I was fascinated right out of the gate because they gave you no kind of precursor to what was happening. It's
hmm
literally her just opening a door and walking into a train and going, "What's what's going on? Then you see your hand light up, I believe, fairly quickly. Yeah,
Hmm.
and then it's just, all right, so right off the gate, right at the gate, I'm just like, all right, what's going on? Did I miss something? So I rewound it just to make sure, and I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I didn't. I was like, this is how they
Yeah.
open it. So they got me right away.
Yeah.
Um, it was like starting with a cliffhanger essentially,
Hmm.
and I
Yeah.
think that's so fascinating because you don't really see that too often. You see generally the hero his origin story or her origin story right out of the gate. Very rarely
Hmm.
do you get felt like you get picked up and put right in the middle of a book that
Yeah.
somebody else was reading.
Yeah.
That's what
Absolutely.
caught me right away.
Yeah, it's a very Terry Pratchett way of opening. It's just like, oh, we're in the middle of it, and we're
Hmm.
gonna go back and re-listen. What's really cool is they do the same thing in episode one. Rather than going to a new cart, she enters the train, but
Hmm.
we don't know how she got there. We don't know what the number is. Like they keep the show like it's not an origin of the show. We don't learn why she's on that train until like the second to last episode of the show of the season. So
Yeah.
it's very cool and like learning what the train is and like what's going on, and then like the weird like how every car is a different little world on top of it, and there's a talking corgi played by one of the Ghostbusters. Like
Ernie
it's
Hudson. As
Ernie
soon as I
Hudson.
heard that voice, I'm like, is that Ernie?
Is
And then I'm
that Ernie
watching the
Hudson?
credits and I'm like, holy shit, it's Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, baby. This is
I
one
was
of the
so stoked to
Ghostbusters.
see that name, man.
I remember Owen Dennis said in an interview, he was like, I wanted to do this King Corgi character, and for whatever reason, I wanted a Ghostbuster to voice him. Whichever one we could get, we got Ernie Hudson. But it's like if we could get Bill Murray, I would have done it. But
Oh man.
like,
And
but
that's when Harold Ramis would have been alive too,
Ramus
2012.
probably, yeah, would have been alive then. Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
so.
so I mean
Yeah,
it'd be crazy to see
yeah,
him, Dan Aykroyd, Bill.
yeah,
But like I said,
yeah.
I loved hearing Ernie because it's just he's like
Hmm.
one of those actors from like our childhood that you
Hmm.
consistently see just pop up everywhere. The
Yeah.
other thing that I loved since you brought up his name is Atticus, correct? Like ladies and gentlemen, it
Yes,
takes me a couple episodes to get these names. I've just got a horrible memory when it comes to shit like that.
you got
But
that one though. Mhm.
yeah, I got it, man. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna rewatch this a couple times because I just bought the DVD on Amazon. I
Excellent.
can get the first two, but I can't get season three. I can't get season three on Prime Video either, so I'm gonna have to check eBay for it.
Yeah.
This is why, ladies and gentlemen, one, you need to support the shows that you love. Like I said, if I would have known about this, I would have been screaming from the rooftops. And I just did a
Yeah.
quick cursory glance. Man, a lot of people are mad that this one's not even out.
Oh
Didn't
wow.
continue and all that other shit. So
Hmm.
I can only imagine what it feels like to be living with this show for so many years and know how great it is to
Yeah.
still not have something that you can go and watch anywhere. But
Yeah.
um, I loved the over explanation of what a dog is in this
Yes.
part. So when he was like, "Ah, the water, it's 2 feet tall. I can't really go across, but you can." And he's like, "Just know, we don't. Us corgis are a proud folk. We don't like to be picked up." So you see her walking, and you see him flipping out all over the place. And that moment, I'm sitting there. Everybody talks about a beer shower, right? I
Hmm.
don't know if you guys have ever tried a Kool-Aid shower.
Hmm.
And to take a Kool-Aid, my favorite is the purple. I like to
Hmm.
go in there, crack it open, watch a little bit of pilots when I'm taking a shower. But like this one, I was just sitting there against the shower while the shower's running. I'm wasting all this fucking water watching this show. And I'm like, I need to turn the water off because I'm not getting it until I finish this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I loved just the silliness. I loved, what's the robot's name that kind of twists and turns?
1-1.
One.
1-1.
Is that Maurice LaMarche?
No, it's I forget the guy who does it. It's a different British. No, sorry. It's Jeff Bennett, I believe, that does him. I
Jesus,
believe it's Jeff
really?
Bennett. I believe it's Jeff Bennett. I will
Damn.
have to check on that. Ah, man, it's coming to me. I can kind of hear it, but I can't quite identify it. But I think it might be Jeff Bennett doing him. I
Oh,
could be
then
wrong though. I'll have
that's
to look again.
interesting. But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
them, I just loved how it was the yin and the yang, right? So
yeah.
the super positive and the super negative. I
Yeah.
loved that duality. So them playing off of one another,
Oh
I thought
yeah.
was just really, really fun. So like I said, this pilot's like what, like 10 minutes long at
Yeah, like
most.
yeah, 10 minutes, about
Is the
12.
rest of the series 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah, it's a
Damn.
12 minute episodes, 10 episodes per season. So not a
Mhm.
lot of half hours in this series, but we did get 4 seasons at least, and which is nice. But it also didn't, quite. I'll go ahead and say it. It didn't quite get to finish either. There were some hanging plot threads that didn't quite to get wrapped up. A lot of things did. Not
Mhm.
everything got like cliffhangered or anything. So but there were a few things that people really wanted to see wrapped up that we never got to see for a season 5. So maybe one day in the future, we got Young Justice back like 10 years later and got to finish that off. So maybe some resurgence of this will happen. That would be nice.
Man, I hope so. Like I said, it's just I loved everything about it. I'm so excited to go back and watch it again. I wish I could go back in time and watch this with everybody else, you know?
Yeah. I am so glad that you enjoyed that one because that's one of my favorites. I absolutely loved it. One of my
Oh,
favorite modern shows.
it was a pleasant surprise, man. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just I I I was I'm not speechless because I'm sitting here fucking talking about it. But after I finished it, dude, I was like speechless. I was like, man,
Yeah.
that was such a thought provoking. It's not like it's fucking sitting out there trying to say anything about what's going on in culture or anything like that, but it was just
Right.
such a thought provoking cartoon. And like I said,
Hmm.
I'm completely blown away that it's a Cartoon Network series. And I'm not shit, ladies and gentlemen, half my
Yeah.
fucking wall back here is Cartoon Network characters, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like I'm shitting on them, but just that time frame, I didn't expect something like that.
Right. Yeah. And something that's like so like I don't know, like it feels very over the garden wall in a lot of ways. It's less folksy, more sci-fi, more punk, but like it felt when it finally got made, it felt like, oh, I'm watching like Over the Garden Wall again. Like
Yeah.
this is like that mystery that I get to experience of like 10 short episodes and it's great. I absolutely loved it. So,
Absolutely, man.
yeah.
So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to rate these
Hmm.
pilots in order. I just wanted to
Right.
talk about that one, like I said, because I was very upset that Brandon had me watch that one, and then I just chose to watch it right before we kicked off. But like I said, um, I that could be on my fucking Mount Rushmore if these shows that and I've only seen one episode, ladies and gentlemen, so take it for what it's worth, man.
Mhm.
It's in a beautiful show. So what we're gonna do is we're not gonna rank the shows, but we will rank some of the categories in them.
Yeah.
Did this one have an intro song for the pilot?
It does. It's literally just like the only intro is they don't like waste any time, but it's just that and then like the Infinity Train logo pops up. So it's not
Gotcha.
really a theme. It's just like a sting that kind of
Yeah,
leads you into it. So
got
opening
you.
theme, no, but like
Got you. So we're gonna rate that
yeah,
one 0 out of 5
yeah,
in a sense,
yeah,
since they don't really have one.
yeah. I would
However,
say,
what did I say? Let's do art or animation.
hmm, yeah,
Animation.
yeah.
What'd you think?
I would
Out of
give
five.
it out of 5. I'd give it. I was very intrigued by it. They actually reduced the coolness of the animation. I
Mhm.
liked the sharpness of like Tulip's like um, chin. Like it
Mhm.
looked different than anything else. And then when you see the actual like show happen, like they rounded off her face and made it look more like that standardized look that you typically get from things. They fattened her up a little bit, quote unquote. She has like the really skinny legs and everything. I like this the look a lot. It really grabbed me. I put it about a 4 just because it
Four
looks
out of
so
five.
different. Yeah.
Beautiful. With this one, like I said, man, I mean, I'm both the worst and best animation fan, dude. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5. I was just, if
Yeah.
I'm entertained, if I'm caught, like it's
Mhm.
gonna sweep the board 5 out of 5 for every category here. The only thing that I can say I wish that would have been different was I wish it was longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm of that mindset, and I've said this so many times, so I apologize. I'd rather get into something and have them wanting more, me wanting more than me
Hmm.
wanting them to just go away. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it
Yes.
hooked me right out of the gate. So it did what it was supposed to do, man.
Yeah.
The story out of 5, what are you giving it?
10 out of 10, 10 out of 5, 10, 11 out of 10. It's
This one
fantastic.
we can break
Yeah.
that 5 out of 5.
Yeah,
So
it grips me so heavily. Like it gripped me so heavily, and it gripped everybody. It's why millions of people watched it. Were like, "Make this a show! I want to know what the hell is happening. Yeah, what's a conductor? What is this? Like what is it? Or the tickets please thing, whatever it was called, like that thing. Like oh man, like I want to know what that is. Like what is this thing? So yeah, 10 out
absolutely.
of 10. Yeah, 5 out of 5.
I'm the same way. 10 out of 5, 15 out of whatever you want to call it. I
Right.
mean, this story, like I said, from second one, I'm like, all right, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? So, fantastic.
What's the number?
And
What's the number?
and then let's go with sound and music, man. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
5 out of 5 for this one as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, like it's not an opening theme, so but that sting that you get, that
Hmm.
and you're into it, you're intrigued. It's like a droning type of coolish metal humming, like you're on a
Hmm.
train throughout the whole thing. It's wonderful. Absolutely love
Absolutely, man. Like I said, this one's 10 out of 15 or 10 out of 5, fucking
it.
15 out of 5, whatever. Across the board, dude, this pilot was very rarely do I come on here and say, not that I don't say holy shit about some of the stuff we're watching, but very rarely do I come on here and say that about something new. And that's not me
Right.
dogging, current era for anything because there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
But it's just like I feel like it's a little bit harder for me to connect to just because, family and time and work.
Yeah.
So I've really got to be able to be invested in something. And go ahead, I'm
it's
sorry.
the yeah, it's the informative years too from
Hmm.
back in the day. You know, when you're
Yeah.
informed about that stuff, and it's like, oh, this is what media is, and now you
Hmm.
compare everything to that media. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, man. So very rarely has something gripped me quite like this one.
Hmm.
Just in the last couple months, I would put, this one up there. Another one that I always tell people to go check out, Solo Leveling, ladies and gentlemen. Season 2 just wrapped up. We're gonna have a
Yes.
episode by the time this comes out. That episode, Rick, you'll already be out.
Nice.
Solo Leveling 2, Season 2. And the one on Adult Swim that I've been telling everybody about. If you have not watched Common Side Effects, ladies and gentlemen, holy shit. You want to
I
talk
need to get.
about that could have been a pilot. I mean, I might still keep this one. I might put this as my honorable mention. I'm still 50-50 on what I'm gonna do.
I need to check that one out. Still, I've
Oh
been
man.
excited about it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
that broke me out of my anime bubble that I've been in for like the last 6 months. Yeah.
yeah, it's the same studio that did Scavenger's Reign as well.
Oh,
So
dude,
so
Scavenger's Reign was so pretty.
so good.
Mhm.
And it's got Judge, and it's got
Mike Judge.
Mike Judge in it. So I was on the fence about this show until
Mhm.
Mike Judge showed up in the trailer. I was like, I'm in.
Oh, and
Like
Common
I know.
Side Effects.
Yeah, I just like I
Oh,
was like,
dude.
oh, what's this show gonna be? I'm not really like whatever drug user or anything, or like I don't really get into like that sort of like that sort of like what do they call that stuff? Hallucinogenic stuff and
Mhm.
things like that, and like expanding your mind things. Like I tend to find those things kind of annoying. I don't know,
Mhm.
like, but then I saw Mike Judge is involved, and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be pretentious crap. This is going to be good. So I definitely need to check it out.
I don't want to ruin it for you, man, but it's
Yeah.
like this Infinity Train grabbed me like
Mhm.
Common Side Effects grabbed me a few weeks ago when
Nice.
it was airing. So, I mean,
Excellent.
like I said, all three of those ones that I said plus Infinity Train, man, fantastic. So, since we brought up Mike Judge, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to do this one in order. My pilot,
Hmm.
obviously,
Hmm.
is the King of the Hill pilot.
Yeah.
Um, this one is just so fun. You get introduced to the characters right away. You see Mike Judge's style right away, and then once they start going into production for later seasons, you start seeing these characters kind of soften up some in a sense
Hmm.
of like the character design. Everything gets a little tighter.
Hmm.
Everything gets a little bit more detailed. You know what I mean? But that first pilot, I remember seeing this as a kid, right?
Hmm. Same.
And I probably watched this one, maybe after season 2, maybe. I know I watched a little bit here and there, but I was still a little too young to commandeer a TV every night that it would come on. Back in the day, I was way too young for it. But
Hmm.
teenage years, I remember seeing it and it really going and resonating with me, man.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, this one follows the Hill family, ladies and gentlemen, Arlen, Texas. Hank, the dad, he is a propane salesman. Bobby is his son, and then Peggy is his wife, and then she is
Hmm.
substitute teacher of the year 2 times.
Two times.
And then she speaks un poquito español, ladies and gentlemen.
Espanol.
Español, escúchame. And then
Escúchame.
it's got a shit ton of great characters, man, from Dale and
Yep.
Cotton Hill, probably my two favorite characters this entire series, to
Yep.
Bill and Boomhauer, John Redcorn. I mean, this, ladies and
Hmm.
gentlemen, you guys have heard me talk about King of the Hill.
Yeah.
I'm blue in the face. I've had so many people on from that series.
Hmm.
I can't think of a better show to start with for me other than the one that probably made me think about animation more
Yeah.
than any show has ever made me think about animation.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It definitely is one of my all-time favorite shows.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a very good testament to it because
Have you done that
s-
King of the Hill episode yet?
I haven't yet. I have like 50 people that want to be on it, so I have to narrow
Fuck
it
those
down.
50 people.
Just do it remote. Do it with me.
Look at me, 49 other people. I better be in
Right.
that
And I,
150.
I gotta have that format too. I gotta do like a top 10 episodes. Or this was a fun one we did for that me and Eris did for The Simpsons. We did the
Oh, I love that episode.
best episode of each season of the first
Hmm.
like 12 seasons or whatever. That's a fun
Yeah,
one.
it's
So I
10 or
might do
12.
yeah, so I might do all 13 seasons of King of the Hill because it's all good. They didn't get crappy. And then do the top episode of each 13 seasons. I think that'd be fun. So, but no, the pilot I remember watching as a kid too. I remember the night it aired. My family would always go over to my grandparents for dinner on Sundays.
Hmm.
Is like the extended family would get together for like most Sundays and like not every well actually it was pretty close to every Sunday, but we'd go over and we have dinner and we just be with family and stuff uh and it was always Simpsons. Like The Simpsons was always on, and then there was whatever came on after The Simpsons. There was like a bunch of shows that would always like try to hit that time slot that would get canceled. The Critic was a great one that got
Hmm.
canceled, stuff like that. And this was one of those ones that was like, oh, it's coming on after Simpsons or coming on before it, and like 7:30. And I remember my parents loving this one. I liked it. Didn't get gripped on it immediately
Hmm.
because I thought the art style was like kind of like weird. Um, and it wasn't cartoony, but you learn to appreciate that as it goes along. Like, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not cartoony. It's like a real person just kind of like easily sketched out. I did recognize Mike Judge's voice from Beavis and Butthead. Uh, and so, what are you doing in my trailer? You jacking off in my trailer? Like, because I wasn't supposed to be watching Beavis and Butthead. I never told my parents I was watching Beavis and Butthead. It's
None of
far
us
too.
were.
No, no, no. Because, like, it didn't matter how old you were. Like, you could have been 14, 15. It's like, you
Hmm.
don't
You're
tell your
still getting in
parent.
trouble.
Yeah, you don't tell your parents you're watching Beavis and Butthead, even though it's hilarious.
Hmm.
Um, and so I remember like thinking that, and that was pretty funny, and but it gripped me absolutely. Just that the idea of this, this, and it had all the tropes of the series would have then too. You have this really mealy mouthed, government worker. It's like, oh, I have to get this. It's like he thinks that Bobby's being abused by this redneck father, and his like, and it's never like a preachy situation of like, oh, this is how all government workers are, because his boss is immediately like, is that really what's happening? Like, I need some evidence, dude. And obviously he can't get the evidence, and he gets egg on his face, and it's great. And it also sets up the relationship between Bobby and Hank, which is a big through line through the whole series. That's the whole thing. Is like he's, what's his son gonna turn out like? And not every episode is that, but it's a big part of it, and it grips you right there. So.
When I was a kid, like most kids, you look at things so differently. And then when you get older and you get a little bit more perspective, you start having kids,
Mhm.
or you just go through life with your eyes open, you kind of like realize like your perspectives change, right?
Mhm.
And I look back and I think about like when I was a kid watching King of the Hill and going, damn, man, I felt like I wish my parents could understand me. Like, why has Hank got to be like my parents? Or why did my parents got to be like Hank? And then
Mhm.
you start realizing as you get older, you know what I mean? It's not so much like Hank was trying to realize it, but like you look at like the deep relationships, right? So
Mhm.
Hank is uncomfortable with telling Bobby he loves him
Yeah.
because of his dad, right?
Right.
His dad never told Hank he loved him. You know what
No.
I mean? The only one he loved was GH, Good Hank.
Go to Hank.
Yeah, Good Hank. But you look at the time frame that Cotton was born, right? That man
Mhm.
lost his shins in WW2 killing
Hmm.
fitty Nazis. You know what I
It in
mean?
asses. Hmm.
Fitty Nazis. And he wasn't gonna tell Hank he loved him because he went to war and seen all of his buddies die. But you
Hmm.
look at that whole trope, right? And then you look at like culture.
Hmm.
It's definitely 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was a lot harder for a dad to tell his son that he loved him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It
Yeah.
was it was always that weird culture change where you're seeing this new generation come up.
Hmm.
They're talking different, they're watching
Hmm.
different shit, they're listening to different things. You know what I mean? It's just like and everybody it's like a slip from grace from every generation like back in my day. And I've caught
Hmm.
myself saying that. But I say all that to say, seeing it from Bobby's perspective as a kid because that's all you know when you're a kid and then
Hmm.
growing up and having kids and then being an adult and being a dad, you really
Right.
see from the perspective of like how uncomfortable Hank was throughout
Hmm.
this series, just trying to understand. Because there were so many moments in this series that you see Hank trying to, understand or find something in common to interact with his kid because he realizes he didn't have that. Now, I know we're
Right.
getting into the weeds here of King of the Hill, but, it was just
Hmm.
weird seeing it from that first episode. You see those seeds being planted of Hank's uncomfortability with
Hmm.
Bobby and how he's a weird teenage kid. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then you see that grow throughout the series. And I think it's one of those seeds that they plant. Like you said, it was a through line through the whole series. That I
Hmm.
think it was something that they planted very early. They watered really consistently and they
Hmm.
fucking harvested it. Not at the end because the show's getting ready to come back, so we're going to see if Bobby's fucked up or not. I can't imagine he would be. You
That's true.
know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we kind of got to see the whole evolution of, Hank as an early dad to Hank as 13 seasons dad.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see it coming back. But I did like the cap off that it led to of, him kind of getting that one little thing that he has in common with Bobby, the
Hmm.
meat. Like they both
Yeah.
appreciate meat. It's like the most like Hank dad thing you could possibly imagine. But yeah, I loved it. Love it. So
Absolutely, man. And like I said, we'll go through all of these as far as the intros, the animation style, and we're just gonna base that
mhm.
off of the first pilot, ladies and gentlemen, because there are sometimes
Yeah.
where some of these shows will evolve as it goes on, but we're gonna rate this off of that first episode. Now,
Yep.
one thing that I love telling people because this is something I heard on the behind the scenes for the first season, and I've heard a bunch of people. I heard Mike Judge talk about it as well. Do you
Hmm.
know how Boomhauer, or you know why Boomhauer sounds the way he sounds?
Was it a guy he knew? A guy that
Mm-mm.
he was? Wasn't okay.
So they were doing the call-in uh, for, hey man, what do you think of Mike? What do you think of Beavis and Butthead? I can't remember what it was called, but they called in and they were calling the studio,
I did
and
hear
there
the
was
story.
there was
Yes.
a guy that called in and said, hey man, I don't know about this old Beavis and Butthole, man. I don't like it. And then he's like, but he went, had this whole story about what he didn't like and how it was a bad show. And then as he's gonna hang up, he goes, "Dang old buttholes, man," and then
Dang old,
hangs up, "Dang old buttholes, man," and
dang
then
old
hangs
butthole,
up
man.
the phone. And that's kind of how the cadence of Boomhauer took over, man. So I always love, sharing that story
Yes.
as we talk about King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Boomhauer, this one's for
Boom.
you, buddy.
Yeah. Texas Ranger. Boomhauer.
Actually, that one was for old Johnny Harwick, Dale Gribble.
That's
Sadly,
true. Yes.
he'll only
Passed
be a
away
couple
sadly.
episodes. Yeah, he'll only be a
Yeah.
couple episodes
Yeah.
in this new series. But nonetheless, man, intro song
Yep.
for King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Where do you rate this one? Out of five propanes, where do you rotate this
Five out
one?
of five propanes for the intro song for King of the Hill. It is catchy as hell. It's quick,
Hmm.
but it catches the point. The little fast forward by frames idea is great. And just that little click of the beer, you knew what was happening
Damn,
is
damn, damn, damn.
classic.
Yeah,
Ding, 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 ding. It's great stuff. Love it.
absolutely, man. Five out of
Yeah.
five propane
Mhm.
tanks for this one. Now, when it
Yep.
comes to story for this pilot episode, what do you give this one out of five?
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Hmm.
It keeps you interested. It's like the story isn't super complex, but the characters draw you through what's going
Hmm.
on, and it's a classic comedy story though, which keeps you gripped. So 4 out of 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, horrible, horrible animation fan. Five out of five for me. So we talked the story, and let's talk about the animation style. You said that was
Yeah.
a little weird, didn't hook you off at the first, but Looking
Mhm.
back at it now, man, where do you rank that art style for that first pilot episode or that
For
pilot
the
episode? Excuse me.
Yeah, for the first one, I rank it a 3. I rank
Mhm.
the rest of the series a 4 out of 5. It's an art style that it's not like my favorite look of something, but it is King of the Hill, and I love it for that. There's a few things that are a little wonky in the first season, up till I think the first like 6 episodes, like you said, like they kind of get their character designs like more gripped down, and this has some like Beavis and Butthead stylizations to
Mhm.
it, still to it. And it's I love Beavis and Butthead, but it's an butt ugly style of art, deliberately so. So I give this one a 3 just because they don't quite have their style down yet, and Peggy's wearing socks. That's another thing. That's like for some reason, like when she stopped wearing socks, I was like, that's Texan. Like
Yeah.
there's something about being in Texas, like you don't wear socks with those slip-ons. There's no way. There's no way.
They're stepping on those spiders bare feet out there.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, man, 5 out of 5 for this one. This King of the Hill
Yeah.
can do no wrong for me. It was such just so charming, right?
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, it gripped me because of that different animation style, man.
Sure.
Because at that time, I'm watching Dexter and I'm watching
Hmm.
Powerpuff Girls and Johnny
Hmm.
Bravo
Hmm.
and Cow and Chicken, and it
Yeah.
was all of these shows and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Not one
Hmm.
of them were similar. Ed and Eddie, that same time frame. Not
Hmm.
one of these are similar. They're all different, and it was just when I was younger, you used to think like Looney Tunes, oh, that's all the same art style. And then you grow up and then you realize like, oh, there's a difference between decades between Bugs and Daffy, depending on
Right.
which director had them from
Right.
Clampett to Tex and Chuck Jones,
Hmm.
insert anybody in here that you want,
Yeah.
and you don't realize
Hmm.
that. And then realizing like there's so many different styles of animation. Like I said,
Hmm.
that one hooked me just because it was so different. And then my older sister was an MTV fan, so she was watching the Darias and the Beavis and
Yeah.
Butthead. So I would hear those shows, or I would see
Hmm.
T-shirts at that time, even though they were very far in between compared to what animation merch is now. You would
Right.
see them out there. They were always the kids you weren't allowed to hang out with, too, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course.
Yeah, you never wanted to hang out with them. They were lighting shit on
No.
fire usually.
Yeah.
Um,
He was an
but
adult. It's like that never changes. It's just like, no, I would never want to hang out with those guys. They're such, oh, I mean, they're great to watch. Like,
yeah, they
oh,
lead an
love it.
interesting life, man.
It's true. Now,
And
Hank, I would hang out with 100%. Like I'd talk to him. I'd talk with him about lawns and lawnmowers
yeah,
all day. That'd be great. That'd be stellar. I could talk to Dale too. Dale would be fun. That'd be fun.
bruh.
Talk about it.
Can you
Just,
imagine Dale podcasting now?
I know he could have a
Fuck.
podcast. It'd be so good. Oh man, I hope that happens. I hope they do that. Uh,
The Gribble
so good.
Files.
The Gribble
Um,
Files.
I like I said, so animation style we got that, and
Hmm.
I think that's it. We hit all three of those categories, man. Like I said,
Hmm.
this show does no wrong. So,
Yeah,
what is your second pilot?
I'll go with. Let's drop in. Tourist Trapped, Gravity Falls. Probably
That's a good
one.
one.
Yeah, probably one people wouldn't expect to be on here. But Gravity Falls is probably one of my favorite shows out there.
Hmm.
Oddly enough, apart from this one, I don't think any of my four Mount Rushmore pilots. Oh, I apologize. Okay, there is one. There is another one. Okay, so two of them are in my top 10 cartoons of all time. But yeah, Tourist Trapped brings you into the world of Gravity Falls immediately. It introduces all of the all the same tenets. It's going to be an episodic little adventure with sprinkled along the way an overarching story for things, and it brings you into that immediately. I was intrigued by this show when like the trailers were coming out or whatever, and this was when like TV was still a thing. We didn't have streaming services everywhere. There was still the Disney Channel, and there were things
Back
on
in
it.
my day.
Back in my day, it was right at the cusp of it though, because I remember the next two ones that came out of this show, two of the storyboard leads that came out of the show was Owl House and Amphibia, and those kind of got relegated to the like, oh, is it going to be in the lost files of Disney XD or Disney Plus or a Disney Channel, or is it going to go to Disney Plus and get a bunch of the, it's just that weird time. So Gravity Falls is one of those first things I noticed of like, oh, they're on Hulu as well now, so I can watch all of it on Hulu. It's a streaming service that has a Disney streaming cartoon on it. That's like the first like iteration of that I remember. Now you can catch all of them, most of all of them on Disney Plus, which is great. But this opener, it gives Dipper his signature pine cone or
Hmm.
pine tree hat. It's got the grappling hook that never comes back into play until the season finale. It sets up all these things. Grunkle Stan is introduced in probably the best way possible. I think his like he's the funniest character I think written in a long time. And it's hard for me to like because again it's like Cotton Hill, like who are the greatest characters ever written, like Homer Simpson, Cotton Hill,
Dale
like all
Gribble.
these Dale Gribble, but Bugs Bunny, like all these
Hmm.
characters that are just written brilliantly. Grunkle Stan is one of the funniest dudes, and it's just like he has the best lines through that whole thing, where it's just like, Grunkle Stan, mosquitoes, the mosquito bites spelled out beware, and he's like, that says beware, but it's such a stupid line. And then he hears Dipper screaming for help because there's a zombie, and he goes, "What? Crombie? It's not even a word. You're losing your mind." Like it's just like it's so good. I was gripped with Grunkle Stan immediately. He just had great timing, and it
Hmm.
never let up. And I absolutely loved it. And Yeah, it's a great show. I absolutely loved it. And that first episode with a giant gnome monster chasing after them, and it set up the book, it set up the mystery. It's like, oh, the book is number three, so where's the other two? So
Hmm.
and that kept a whole mystery going. And Grunkle Stan goes in and like punches in a code and goes into the darkness of his vending machine.
Hmm.
Like, what's he up to? So it's just all these like lovely little seeds that they plant, and I'm super super stoked for all of it as it came along. I remember actively uh, being with that community and figuring out the theories and stuff like that, and you know um spoilers for it, we like that, like it was I was on the forums that figured out that it's like, is there a secret twin somewhere, like that was a whole thing that they left clues for, and like we're like, there's more clues so it was crazy to figure that, to see that, and then have it like kind of come out as that. So much so that Alex Hirsch leaked fake reveals throughout this time, so that would draw people off. Like people thought they'd figured out who wrote the books. So he leaked, quote unquote, a picture of another person writing the books. It's like, oh, it was an exclusive storyboard from the production or whatever. And it's like, just to see what would happen. And there's actually a little like documentary of him like filming himself, like
He was
releasing
planting
it.
disinformation to put
Yeah.
every. Oh, that's some CIA NSA shit.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And so like everybody's like, "Oh, was that real?" And like a lot of people are like, "Nah, that's got to be fake." And it's like, "No, it was leaked. It was totally leaked." So it was so fun. It was a lot of fun, and that first one started it, because you started to see all the little puzzle pieces and the ciphers and like the deciphering codes that you could go through. It was nuts. It was a great show. So that's what I have to say about that one.
So I like this one a lot because this was something Hayden started watching when he was
Mm.
a little bit younger. So I haven't finished the entire series. I've checked in and out. I've seen episodes way out of order. So this is one I'm going to go back and rewatch as well. Um, but it was just so fun. The humor alone, like you
Mm.
said, your Uncle Stan, he was so fun. What's what? Zeus is the janitor, right?
Zeus,
Ah,
Zeus, yep, Zeus, good
I
old
fucking
Zeus.
like I said, I haven't thought about this show or watched this show in so long, but it's just
Yeah.
like um, seeing him just give that tinfoil hat. He's like that friend that everybody has that
Oh
you
yeah.
just ask him about, 9/11 or JFK or
Yeah.
anything, and they're gonna tell you what really happened, right? So
Right.
I love that character. Dipper is just so fun. Like all these characters are just so damn fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny because like Seuss was like immediately people clued in on him. It's like, oh, he knows more than what he knows, and he never did. He was always just a goofball. It's like he never knew more. But the first episode, you're like, oh, he knows what's going.
He's
He
somebody
knows
to
what's up.
watch.
This is the guy, and it's like, no, it's not. Like he's a goofball. So it's fun.
Uh,
It's a lot
yeah,
of great good time.
I loved it. Hold on one second.
Mhm.
All right, and we're back. We're talking damn, I was getting ready. My brain is still on Infinity Train right now, and so I apologize. Gravity Falls, man. This
Yeah.
one, like I said, it was a lot of fun. I loved the silly, stupid humor. I
Hmm.
loved the interaction between brother and sister, and just
Yeah.
all of the characters. They all for what was it, 22 minutes long? For
Yeah.
22 minutes long, they all got their shit in. They all got a little
Hmm.
shine. They all
Yeah.
got out, and they all wanted you wanting more. There was like not one unlikable character whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you think you know where it's going, and he's like, "Oh my God, he's a zombie! He's a zombie!" And it's like, and it was just fun, dumb teenage boys, always chasing girls. So it was like, I
Yep.
loved how they played on like humanity in a sense, but they made it
Hmm.
dumb and silly.
Yeah.
And then find out that he wasn't a zombie. He wasn't a Crombie either. He was a bunch of gnomes in a trench coat.
Gnomes.
He essentially little rascaled us,
Yep. Yep.
you know?
Exactly. Is this weird? Is this too weird? It's so good.
And
Love
the
it.
fact that none of the gnomes, that was like the one thing that they flipped the book to, and not one of they didn't have a weakness or anything like that. I thought it
Yeah.
was just really, really funny. Just smacked a dude with a shovel. I'm like, that is
Yes.
just dumb and funny and so silly. Like I said, this
Yep.
this one was so much fun, man. But where do
Yeah.
you give, let's start with the intro song. Where do you give this 5 out of 5?
Billion out of five. Love it. It's one of my
It's a
favorite.
fun one.
It's one of my favorites of all time. I love there's several parts of it animated by the famous James Baxter.
Mm.
The really smooth parts where they're going through the mist the spooky house when Mabel's hugging her pig. Like that's James Baxter smoothery right there. So it's good stuff. But yeah, that's that tune is wrapped around my brain. It's in there. It's wonderful. I absolutely love it. So
Beautiful. So I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 5. I love it as well. Um, hmm.
okay.
All right, and we're back
Yeah.
after technical difficulties on my side, ladies and gentlemen. So, Brandon, let's go ahead and repeat that one more time. The intro. What do you rank this one out of 5?
Yeah. 1,000 out of five. 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5. 5 stars. It's a top tier one. Love the tune. Love the theme song gets wrapped in my head.
Mhm.
It's partially animated by James Baxter, the famous James Baxter, who has done so many beautiful animations throughout his career. He's like the Sakuga version of American cartooning. And he's brilliant. So just watching some of his work, and then that tune getting into your head, and all
Mhm.
the crazy cryptid stuff happening in it. It's wonderful. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely, man. It's definitely unique, especially for Disney. It was another one of those shows where I look at it, and I'm like, all right, man. I can't see how this one's a Disney show, really? Like this feels like a Nickelodeon, a Cartoon Network show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, same thing as you, dude. I was blown away by the intro. I loved everything. Story, man. I'm gonna give it to you real quick. Is 5 out of 1,000 out of 5, man. I loved
Yep.
everything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 out of 5. It gave you those little hints, and they keep that up through the whole series, through both seasons, and it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So
Made
it
you
gives you the
want
right
more.
the little twists and turns it gives you. It's awesome. I love it. So
Yeah, that it was. Like I said, man, it
mhm.
makes you want more after you finish the episode. Like, okay, I can watch another couple of these,
Yep.
And art style, man, like I said, it just didn't seem like a Disney cartoon until I started
Hmm.
watching more cartoons around this era for Disney, man. But what do you think about the animation
Hmm.
style?
5 out of 5. It's good.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites. I love the art style. I think it's super cute.
Hmm.
And they really take it to the levels that they need to, because like it's this very cutesy style, and then they have this horrific cosmic horror stuff like happening throughout it, and like these horrific monsters that they don't really pull back on. There's some scary stuff that would have terrified me as a kid if I was watching this when I was younger. So, five
And
out of five.
and gnomes puking rainbows, man.
Yes.
Everybody loves it.
No.
It's crazy that that's the meme that was going around that was so frequent from this show, but it's in the pilot episode. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
like I said, this one was an absolute blast. I'm glad you picked this one. I loved going back and rewatching this pilot because I hadn't seen it in quite some time. Like I said, I watched this one with Hayden when Hayden was younger. A lot of fun, ladies and gentlemen. Go watch this one, man. Like I
Yeah.
said, this could be on any. It could be on my Mount Rushmore at this point. Like I said, you're gonna hear that back and forth with a lot of these shows. Um, the next one for me,
Yeah.
around the same time, I believe, or when did Gravity Falls come out? Was it 2012?
2012, I believe.
Okay.
2012.
So
Yeah.
roughly around the same time. The one I'm going to pick is regular show, The Power. This show, I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into it just because so many people have heard me talk about the regular show, but it is a very special show for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been a long time listener, you know that story. If you're a new listener,
Hmm.
just go back and watch any of the regular show ones and you'll figure it out. But what I loved about
Hmm.
this one from the get-go, and I know we're going to give these scores, down the road, but it's the same thing with the Infinity Train. It hooked me in from like the first second. The boom,
Hmm.
the ticking of a clock go by. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yep.
all right, well, this is different. And I'm like, oh shit, this art style is really cool. I love birds. Blue jays are one of my favorite birds to watch, man.
Yeah.
And see. And it was just them starting to wrestle like we all did, with the wrestling buddies, the old WWF wrestling
Yes.
buddies. And you got the Hulkster there in that first pilot episode, or a look-alike like the Hulkster from the NWA days. So it was just
Yeah.
like right away they get straight to it. This is another
Mhm.
very, very short one, like a 6-minute episode, 8-minute episode, something like that. It's very, very
Yep.
quick,
Very
right?
fast.
And
Yep.
it introduces you to Mordecai, the Rigby, the Park, some of those secondary characters. Man, like I said, I saw this one in 2014. It'd been out for a couple years,
Yeah.
but completely hooked me from the beginning. But what's your introduction to regular show?
I didn't see the pilot the first time. Yeah, so I didn't see the pilot episode. It was a couple episodes in, I think, that I'd watched, and I was like, for some reason I'd caught it like on like just randomly on Cartoon Network.
Hmm.
But going back and watching the pilot and everything, it was, oh, man, I can't remember what the first episode I saw was, but it was something like the Wrestling Buddies, that like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a thing that I know. It's like
Hmm.
it's like very clearly that this guy is like from our generation, and just the way that he grew up and like experienced things. It's like, yeah, this is exactly how I would mess around with my friends all the time, like,
Hmm.
and that's what really draws you in, is that this power of imagination of, here's a thing that we would love to have happen if we were like younger, and like we were like, if you're going to the comic shop, or you're going to like the candy store or something. We had candy stores back in the day. You're going to the gas station, or whatever, and you're gonna do something. You would love for an adventure to happen, and that
Hmm.
happens in this show, but it's always like horrifically traumatic, and like the craziest shit occurs. So it really grips into that whole idea, because like everything just goes out of whack, and it's usually because they're arguing about something. So it's great.
That
Uh,
it
que-
is, man.
Question: have you ever seen the actual original pilot of it? With
It's been
yeah,
a
I'm sure you have.
very long time. Yeah, it's been a very long time. I think it
Yeah,
was either on JG's Facebook page or
yeah,
maybe it was on YouTube. Somebody threw it up on YouTube, but I haven't seen
yeah,
it in the last few years. But yeah, it
yeah.
was
It's
his.
been a while
You
for
can
me
jump on his
too.
CalArts film, right?
Yeah, yeah, where it's Mordecai and uh what's his Benson, and they work at a convenience store, and that's like kind of the like iteration of what you get of this show. So and it's an adult show, obviously, that he kind of produced, and they made it a kid show. Like, but yeah, I loved the art style immediately too. I thought it was very unique,
Hmm.
to say the least.
That it was, man. There's a lot of crossover, like I said, during that era of cartoons, so you see a lot of similarities in some of the art styles. There was some of the board artists that went on, that one at Adventure Time, Steven Universe, and vice
Hmm.
versa. But it was a very unique show with a very unique message. And in my opinion, during that era, I think like I said, I have the foresight of seeing that one, a couple years after. But I would
Hmm.
go and I would measure that block that they were in 2010,
Hmm.
2012 to right before the pandemic is
Yeah.
probably, in my opinion, the greatest cartoon in that era for me in particular.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a
There you
lot of
go.
people that argue other shows, but like that one for me, man, it's just like
Hmm.
like I said, sentimental,
Yeah.
beyond repair. But I
Yeah.
actually I actually tried the whole give us a raise losers, just to see. Like I didn't have the little keyboard to do it with, so that's what I was
Hmm.
missing, and that's probably why I got fired. But I'm just kidding, ladies and gentlemen, I get fired. They didn't give me a raise either, but I
Yeah.
tried it. It didn't work, and I found out that they weren't cool either because they didn't know what I was referencing. So their
Mm.
loss.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a pretty cool guy, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways,
There you
this
go.
one, so fun, so fun, so fun, so fun.
Hmm.
The intro, like I said, for me,
Yeah.
5 out of 5. Where do you put it?
I
Even though it's
mean,
gone, it's
I
there and
mean,
gone, but like I said, it gets you in it.
yeah. I mean, if we're giving Infinity Train a 0, I have to give this one a 0 because it's not
How dare
really
you?
an opener. So there you go. But it's just a sting. It's more of a sting, which I can appreciate because then you're not taking up a whole half a minute to take up your 12-minute episode. So yeah.
Either way, this show's getting a 5 out of 5.
Oh
Brandon just
yeah.
doesn't like
He's Mark of the
storyline.
Town.
The storyline for me, dude, like I said, hooks you right away from
Yeah.
that. You call it a sting, hooks you right away with
Yep.
that sting.
Hmm.
So 1,000 out of 5. What do you want to rate this one? The highest rating you can go. 5 out of 5. Mordecai's on me for this one.
Yep, 5 out of 5 Mordecai's. It's great. It again. It grips you in. It's what every episode is. There's nothing like surprising throughout the rest of the series
Nope.
because this pilot sets you up. That it is surprising what happens, but like you understand, we're gonna take a concept and we're
Mhm.
gonna take it all the way up here. And it's
And
like,
just when you
and
think
we're
they can't get any
yeah,
higher, they
yeah,
get higher.
they get higher and higher. It's crazy. So good
You've
time.
got mullets, you've got El
Yeah,
Caminos. This is actually the show that got me into like synthwave, that old
yeah,
80s style of music. Cause like I was
yeah.
always super against it. Not against it. It's just like, man, I like hearing lyrics. I was always one of those guys, right? And
Hmm.
then I hear this, and then I'm watching Stranger Things right around the same time. And it was just that love and appreciation for synthwave kind of coming through and that
Right.
old 80s music vibe. And I'm like, all right, man, I could really
Hmm.
vibe to this stuff. And now
Yeah,
that's like 80% of my listening is just that because it's like the day is a marathon. It's not a race. So I just sit back, hang out, and then just try to keep the
yeah,
same pace all day because of regular show, man.
yeah. Absolutely. I love vibing to vaporwave. Vaporwave. It's great.
Dude, I love that one. I'll send you one
Yeah,
you got to check out after we get out of this one.
absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right, man. So what's your next one? Which one you picking next? This is number
Uh,
three.
it's my number 3. Let's see. Let's go with man. We're gonna do Batman. We're gonna do BTAS. Technically not the first episode. It's not the first episode that aired,
Mhm.
but this is the pilot
It
that they
was the pilot.
produced.
Was
So
this number three? Was this episode three?
this was episode 2, I think.
Two?
It
Okay.
was yeah, it was episode 2 because they had the Cat and the Claw aired the Saturday before it. That I didn't watch actually. I didn't even know that that was a thing when I was younger. I didn't know that that episode had aired or I'd missed it and my dad didn't record it.
Mhm.
Something to that degree, but I knew that that Saturday had happened and I didn't really care that much because I wasn't like I don't know, like I wasn't like this Batman nut. I was a Superman guy, so I didn't really like have a whole like grip because I'd watch Super Friends, and like Batman was just kind of this like dude in a blue suit that like had this kid next to him. He wasn't the coolest guy in the like in that framework,
Oh, and Superman was in blue and
Absolutely.
red.
Yes, absolutely. Because he could lift an entire freaking building, of course. Like,
I got a
I
bone to pick with you 2 times during this episode, Brandon.
I am still a Superman guy, but I love Batman now, and it's because of this show, obviously. But it's like, but it was that episode, and I remember once again over at my grandparents' house because we all gathered there and it was a Sunday night. And this episode came on and my dad was super excited to watch it with us. And me and my brother and my dad, and I think one of my cousins sat down. We watched this episode and we were enthralled by what we were seeing. This and kind of scared. Like there was like some scary moments
Oh
for it,
yeah.
you know, like the
Him
man
coming
bat.
in at the blimp. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
coming at the blimp,
Terrifying.
or the guard seeing him in the laboratory, and he turns around with that big undercut jaw, and just
And he kicks him out of
the
the window. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. It's just so terrifying, and like it's such a great werewolf story that you'd never seen before, and I'd never even heard of Man Bat. I didn't know that Batman had a rogues gallery outside of the
The
Joker and
Joker and the
Penguin.
Riddler.
Yeah, and the Riddler and the Penguin, which I love Riddler, but you know, like that's the thing is like that's all it was. Granted, the 66 show, I knew he had a whole bunch of like other
Frank
stuff, but
Gorshin, yeah.
yeah, and Frank Gorshin's a fucking legend as the Riddler.
Mhm.
So, but you know, and that's the thing that was like my intro to that was my like that was my that's what Batman was to me was like this kooky 60s thing, you know. And this was like, no, this is what Batman is,
Not your dad's
motherfucker.
Batman. It's not
It's
your
like,
dad's Batman.
it's like this is what Batman is, motherfucker. Man, like Bruce Timm and Paul
Hmm.
Dini knew exactly what they wanted to make out of this, and it was great. It was awesome. It brought him back to that darkness, that dark place that the Dark Knight Returns brought him back to in the
Hmm.
comics. You know, and it's like in that it wiped away the whole like 60s business of him. You know, it's like it was not that that was unlikable, but it became something new,
Yes.
and characters were created off of this show. And you know, no one knew about Man Bat. I think he was like in a Detective Comics issue, like 2 issues or something, and like nobody cared about Man Bat. And then this episode comes out and he's a regular on everything that's Batman. He's in
Hmm.
Arkham. He's in every cartoon version. He's like in everything. He's his lizard at that point, you know? And you know, he was a new character like in the this was brought in the eight and the like the 70s that I don't think anyone cared about. So it's wonderful. That transformation scene that he has into the Man Bat is just wonderful. I absolutely love it. So I could gush all day about it, but we don't have time.
Oh, I just sent you a message in
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Um, we do have time.
Yeah.
Um, so I loved that you picked this one just because holy shit. Like I think for so many people, this is their Batman. Kevin Conroy. When I buy
Oh.
my comics, and I buy my
Hmm.
comics every Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, when I
Hmm.
get Batman, because that's the one I still get, Absolute Batman, that's the voice I hear, is
Who
Kevin
do you
Conroy.
hear? Who do you
Ark
hear?
Hamill is the voice I hear in the Joker, and I'm not a
Hmm.
huge Joker fan.
Yeah.
My favorite villain of all time is Scarecrow, and then
Yeah.
followed very closely behind him is Mr.
Hmm.
Freeze. Not
Nice.
ice to see you, Mr. Freeze. Not that.
Uh,
No,
no.
I
No.
hate that. Nope, I'm trying to eliminate that word from
It,
my lexicon. I think it's valid,
it,
but
yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
It's not. And again, like
No.
that movie was like a it's that movie is a perfect iteration of the 66 Batman show
Mhm.
done in movie form. That's what it is.
Yes.
But at that time, we had Batman the animated series, we
Hmm.
had that Mr. Freeze. Why wouldn't you just get Patrick Stewart to be Mr. Freeze in your stupid movie
The
and do
same
that
reason.
instead?
The
Yeah.
same reason they don't get the writer, and in my opinion, the greatest Batman writer of all time. He never worked on the animated
Mm-hmm.
series. He never really
Mm-hmm.
worked on anything other than the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Snyder. Scott
Yeah.
Snyder is the
Right.
greatest Batman writer of all time. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite comic book writer of all time. Nobody can convince me any way different. Like I said, he completely blew me away in New 52 when I started having actually a little bit of extra money where I could buy things back
Mm-hmm.
in 2011, and that kind of translated into everything that this man writes. I go and buy it. I mean, it's just, I've met him a couple times and one
Yeah.
of the coolest fucking human beings I've ever met in life. He actually signed
Yeah.
his novel. So I mean, like I said, salt of the
Yeah.
earth, this guy. And
Yeah.
that's why those movies tend to suck. That's why most movies tend to suck because they don't get the people that are so directly linked to the source material. They go and get somebody that graduated some bullshit screenwriters class and thinks this guy's the fucking gift. He's the next Tarantino. He's the next this, and then it's just like,
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you had
yeah.
Tarantino in the corner. You couldn't ask him.
Well, that's why MCU was really good in the early set because they got Christopher Yost. Like he was a comic writer for like the longest time, one of my favorite comic writers, and they got
Spider-Man
him to write.
2099, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he went on to do some of the new X Men stuff. He went on to do X Men Evolution, which is one of my favorite shows. The TMNT 2003 TMNT show,
Oh, that
like
was a good one.
that's a good one. It's good stuff. It's reintroducing a franchise and stuff, and he was great. And they got him to like screenwrite for Thor. Like he's barely, again, like Marvel was like this giant conglomerate. It became a giant conglomerate. So, but he has like credits spread all throughout that
Hmm.
early Phase One stuff, and yeah, because he was a comic writer. He knew his stuff. He knew what he was doing. So there you go. So
Absolutely.
get
And,
those guys.
going back to this one, the other thing that stuck out so much to me was, we're gonna deviate from the cartoon for just a second to the toys, man. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah,
can't really see it but you can kind of see the wheel. That's the greatest Batmobile of all time right there. Is that 90s Batmobile, man. The
yeah.
opening when you see that Batmobile, I'm not a car guy, I don't give a fuck about vehicles, but I was
Mm-hmm,
like, if I could have like one, I'm gonna say my top three favorite vehicles of all time.
mm-hmm.
Obviously, first one, Back to the Future, the DeLorean at the end of the
Yeah.
first movie. I want that one. Batman the Animated Series. Oh, absolutely. His
Mm-hmm,
Batmobile. And then
mm-hmm,
the 87, we're going to talk about this on your next episode, but the
mm-hmm.
87 Party Wagon that I've got sitting
Yeah.
right here in front of me. Those are the three
Yeah.
vehicles I'd love to own. But,
There you
like
go.
I said, the toys, when I was younger, I had Batman, I had Man Bat, I had Mr. Freeze, I had the
Hmm.
Penguin. Same thing when I had all the turtles, all four turtles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just the merchandise for this one was just fucking phenomenal. They
Yeah.
did something so cool. The designs on this were so beautiful. I mean, for me, this is like I said, this is my Batman. It'll never not be my Batman. You know what I mean?
Right.
You've got Adam West, or you've got the late great Val Kilmer, you've got George
Hmm.
Clooney, you've got Keaton, you've got
Yep.
Bale, you've got Affleck, you've got what's the Pattinson, Robert Pattinson, which I
Pattinson.
think he's
Yeah.
probably got the best Batman movie, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Um,
It's up there for me
you know,
too.
yeah, it's just like there's
Mhm.
been so many iterations of Batman, but it's like,
Yeah.
what's that quote where it's like often duplicated but never replicated?
Never
Kevin
replicated.
Conroy. Never.
Yeah.
You're never gonna
Yeah.
capture Kevin
And
Conroy. That's Batman.
and it's in that episode too. I forgot that it was the first episode that he did it, and it's
I
brilliant to
am vengeance,
watch.
I am the night.
Well,
Yeah.
no, not that one. Because I think it's the Scarecrow one. But which is phenomenal. It's when he's in the Bat cowl and he's in the
Hmm.
Bat cave and he's talking to Alfred and he's doing the Bat voice, and he's like, and it's just such a lesson for like anybody who hears the Christian Bale. I love those movies, but like that voice is hilarious, and I will
Hmm.
always think it's hilarious. But he has this very subtle like
Where's the trigger?
yeah, but he
I
has
love
this
you, Christian Bale.
right, but I do, but Kevin Conroy has this subtle difference between his Bruce Wayne and his Batman, and he's talking to Alfred in Batman, and he says, "You have a call from the professor from," and he's like, and he says, "What's up, Doc?" And he's like, has the cape and cowl on, goes into Bruce Wayne, and
Hmm.
it's completely different.
Yeah.
Same guy talking, but just like a little bit of different
Hmm.
idiosyncrasies, and you get it immediately. You're like, oh, that's so cool. That's why no one would really like posit that he's Batman because he's not going around being serious all the time. It's like he's this different guy. And the best people that do Batman after Conroy are the people that understand that aspect of it. So like the Bruce Greenwoods, the Hamishes from for Beware the Batman, they understand that you just have to have like it's just a little bit different than his actual talking voice. Like it's not doesn't have to be dramatic. It's like it doesn't have to be a dramatic difference, just subtle. It's brilliant.
That it is. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody knocking on my door.
No problem.
Um, no, same. I mean, it's just his way of, I've said it for so long when it comes to Batman. You don't have to play Batman. You got to play Bruce Wayne.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anybody's going to throw on a cowl. You know what I mean? You just
Yep.
get a little gruffly voice type of thing. And this is more talking about live action than it is with the animation. But it's just like there's always going to be somebody else in that suit when you're doing the action, right? So you don't really
Right.
have to play Batman, but you got to play Bruce Wayne. And it's
Hmm.
like the best of the Batmans have found that delineation between those two characters. Like there is a Bruce, there is a Batman. Who's impersonating who,
Hmm.
essentially, right?
Yeah.
Who's the real Bruce, who's or Batman, whatever you want to call it, who's that
Right.
who's that real person?
Right.
Um, and it's Batman's such a great, complex, and beautiful character, but
Hmm.
sticking on this pilot, I know we kind of took a turn there, ladies and gentlemen, but that's okay because, you know,
Hmm. It's
it's
Batman.
fucking it's my show too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who
Right.
gives a
Yeah.
shit?
True.
But it's this pilot is so strong. This show is so strong. It does start to falter whenever it goes to what is it, Superman Adventures or Batman Adventures, whatever this shit was called.
It doesn't. It
The
gets better, but whatever. Keep going.
no, it doesn't, man. It doesn't get better until Batman Beyond, and even then, Batman Beyond doesn't touch
well,
that first season. Of
yes, 100% agree. Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But I like the earlier episodes. Heart of Ice is probably the greatest Batman, the animated episode of all. I mean, it's not like I'm fucking saying anything different. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure out of 10 people you poll that love this show, 9 out of 10 people might say the same thing. But I
yeah.
digress. Just sticking with this pilot episode, though, I mean,
Hmm.
it's so strong and it
Yeah.
rides that line of being interesting, horrific, kind of like you were
Hmm.
talking about with, Gravity Falls a little bit ago, getting
Hmm.
further into the series. There's some really scary shit. Like this is a pretty
Yeah.
scary episode, especially as a kid, seeing
Yeah.
this man bat. He
Hmm.
kicks this security guard out of a window. The
The screech.
transformation, yeah,
This.
dude, it was just everything just
Yeah.
puts you on edge. And you're like,
Yeah.
how is Batman? Like as a little kid, you're like, how is Batman gonna beat this mutant? Right? How is he gonna
Yeah.
win?
Right. He's a dude in a cape.
Yeah,
He can't stop
yeah.
this guy. Yeah.
He's
It's
literally a
nuts.
vampire. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He flies, he rips through the blimps. But like I
Yeah.
said, this pilot is so strong. This episode is so strong. This show is it's a masterpiece.
Hmm.
Just we're gonna get to the rankings right now, man. But for the
Hmm.
intro song, man, where do you rank this intro song?
5 out of 5, billion out of five. It's top tier. Top tier. So.
Yeah, out of all of these shows that have an intro that we've picked
Hmm.
both on my side and your side, this might be no, I'm not gonna say might. This is like the greatest out of all of our Mount Rushmores. Just for me, just throwing these out there, like
Yep.
this one's number one for me. And I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't we wouldn't give a direct number one for anything, but intros, hands down, best intro of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Um, Going through the entire city of Gotham, you feel like you're in, but you're also above the
Hmm.
Batmobile, but you're just
Yeah.
seeing everything. You're seeing the world, how it opens up with the bomb explosions. It's just like,
Yeah.
fuck, I want to pause it and
Yeah.
just go watch it right now. You know what I mean?
It, it's so funny because whenever I hear somebody talk about this, they call those guys bank robbers,
Hmm.
and they're not. Those
No,
guys are those guys are anarchists. They just blow up the bank. They don't have sacks of money. They're just running from the explosion. Like they just blew up a bank for no reason.
maybe they got scared
I know, right?
and they just
It's like,
forgot the money.
yeah, but they blows up and they run, and then Batman chases them down, and they don't have any bags of cash. So it's just like, okay, very interesting. And like they were not bank robbers. It's very funny,
Maybe they
but
were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
maybe like
And
Batman
Batman
could
just
just
beat the shit out of him
just beat the shit out of two dudes that were afraid of the explosion,
and tied him up top. It's like,
right?
God damn, Batman's an asshole.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Where's the money?
Where's your money? I don't know, man. We were just there. The
I
explosion
love
happened.
I love the Batman Ready or was it Funny or Die?
Hell yeah, yeah.
All of oh fuck, it's so
So
good.
good.
Patton Oswalt as the Penguin is just one of the greatest
Yes,
things of all
yes.
time.
No,
Um,
so good.
Intro, same thing with me. This is like the greatest, probably the
Yeah,
greatest intro. I can't think of one that kind of beats this one at all. I can't even think of one that comes close, man. Greatest intro of all time, dude. And
yeah,
it's not even a close second. All right,
yeah.
so we're talking. Let's go story for this
Mhm.
one. Where are you giving it?
Like top tier again. Like
Yeah.
this is one of the top. Like again, like they're like ever just about. There's like maybe 5 episodes of Batman the animated series that you can say is kind of a dud, right?
Hmm.
Like out of all what 138 episodes that exist of
Yeah,
this
give or
thing,
take.
there's like 5 that are like or there's one that's like really bad,
Mhm.
and maybe like 2, but this is like one of the top episodes of the show that is a top tier show. So all the episodes of the Almost Gotham's, of the Freeze episode, of the Gray Ghost,
Oh,
my
so
God,
good.
just stuff
So
like
good.
that. Like this is right there with them. This is right there with Feet of Clay. This is right where with all
Mhm.
those, especially the
Part
animation.
one and part two.
Yeah, yeah, especially with the animation because this is right up there with with that transformation scene where where Langstrom transforms into Man Bat is horrifying and it's so well done.
Hmm.
Um, TMS Studios is fantastic at that, and that was beautiful. So there you go. That's 10 out of 10. So for both
Same
of
thing
those.
for me, man. You can't dude, like I said, this could arguably go down as like one of probably the greatest series of all time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's in
like I said,
mine.
you got to take some of those duds out of there, but it's just like so revolutionary at its
Yeah,
time. The art
yeah,
style was so
yeah.
distinct. The fact that they were using, the black cardstock on the back to make everything fucking pop, dude.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things that was nothing out there like it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing. And they inspired this past generation, the next generation, generations forever will see this
yeah.
and go, holy shit, that was
Mm-hmm.
revolutionary. And like I
Yeah.
said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not even going to go into the story and all the other things that we're going to rate. I mean, this one perfect out of the gate, man. Like I said, it might be the greatest thing ever invented. Who knows?
Yeah, it's up there.
You know. But don't listen to me. Go out there and check it out for yourself. What the fuck does this guy know? You know what I mean?
Right?
What the fuck do I know? You know.
Go watch it.
So go watch it twice.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm watching Infinity Train again, and then I'm going to
Yeah.
watch the intro for Batman the animated series as soon as I get out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm up next. So this is my
Mm-hmm.
third one. I'm stalling because I'm trying to
Should be
figure
your.
out which one
Oh no, yeah,
is my.
because you're. I'm surrounding yours. Yeah, never mind. So yeah, third
Yeah,
one.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to. I don't know if I wanted to save Hey Arnold for the last one, so I might save Hey Arnold for the last one.
Mm-hmm.
I already brought it up, man. Let's talk Hey Arnold.
Okay.
Hey Arnold, man.
Yeah.
Craig Bartlett has a masterpiece in this one, 24 Hours to Live. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been lucky enough to talk to half of the team that was on this. Sadly, I'll never be able to talk to Tuck Tucker. A
Right.
few of the other guys that, that took a pass at this, you might have helped out. But Craig Bartlett, 24 Hours to Live. Hey Arnold, this one
Mm-hmm.
opens up so fun. They're playing baseball
Mm-hmm.
and Arnold is just getting dogged by the neighborhood bully. What he starts out to be the neighborhood bully.
Yeah.
He's just getting dogged. He's up to bat. Man, Harold's the pitcher. He's the big, older, tougher, bigger, fatter kid that picks
Mm-hmm.
on everybody, and he just line drives Arnold. Arnold catches one and then just beams Harold right in the head. And
Mm-hmm.
then throughout the entire episode, man, you're reminded that Arnold's got 24 hours to live. So he's stressing like we can all be put in that position as a kid to be like, oh
Right.
fuck, the bully, the guy, I'm gonna get into a fight tomorrow, or I have to go fight somebody after class. So
Mm-hmm.
it taps into that primal instinct of like fight or flight, right? And one
Yeah.
of the things that I absolutely love about this pilot is the constant reminder from Helga counting down how much longer Arnold has to live. You've got 17 hours,
17
37
hours.
minutes, and 14 seconds to live. I love that silly shit because like the entire
So
time
good.
it's real, it's real, it's real, you can feel it, and then it
Mm-hmm.
reminds you of a cartoon with that
Mm-hmm.
Helga moment, right?
Yep.
And you get to meet all of the characters essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see the boarding house, you get to see Grandpa, you get to
Mm-hmm.
see Grandma. And I actually got to show you something that's pretty cool
Yeah.
um
What do you got
about
there?
oh man, I hope this is it right here.
He's pulling something out, folks.
Oh boy, it's not that type of show, but it could be. So I might have to show you off air.
Okay.
But if you want to talk about King of the Hill, or excuse me, Hey Arnold, real quick, I'll be right back and see if I can. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we'll cut that
Yeah.
piece out, but
Mm-hmm.
see it.
Ooh. Ah, yes. That's great. It's the
So that is
grandma.
that's a
Yeah.
storyboard by the
Yeah.
late great Tuck Tucker, um,
Beautiful.
and it's from that episode where she's chasing down the fly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's something very special. I'm getting ready to hang it up. I finally got a frame that was fitted just for it, man.
Very
But
cool.
what do you think about Hey Arnold, man? How old were you? This is like fuck 95-ish, 4-ish, somewhere around there was when this one came out.
Yeah. Very young. I was in the prime of watching cartoons. I enjoyed Hey Arnold. It was never one of my favorites as a kid. As an adult, it is probably one of the best cartoons ever made.
Hmm.
It's like, but even as a kid, like I understood some of the stuff that they were doing, like because
Hmm.
like I understood that Helga's mom was a drunk. Like even
Yes.
like even as a kid, I'm kind of like, oh, I see what they're doing. Like I see exactly what's going on. She's tired all the time, guys. Like now, this
Loveless
opener was
marriage.
very, yeah, yeah, exactly. This opener was very catching to me, because I had what's very cool about this show is, as you said, Harold starts off as this bully.
Hmm.
First episode, he is this big bully or whatever and everything. As the show goes on, he becomes a much deeper character, becomes a friend of Arnold, stuff like that. And that same thing happened with me. Like there was an older, not an older, but like a bigger kid that was kind of a bully to everybody. And then
You hit him with
have
a
a moment.
baseball.
Yeah, it wasn't baseball specifically. I think it was kickball. Actually, it was actually kickball. But like, but but then it started just kind of like happen of just like like you stand up to a guy, you stand up to a kid, and they know you're not going to be pushed around, and you kind of just become friends with that guy because like
Hmm.
you're just sort of like in the same area, and then you start talking about stuff that you enjoy. So that happened to me before, where like the big, but just kind of became my friend throughout school. Never became super close, but it was like obviously we didn't like get into fights or anything or get into any horseplay
The
after a
friend of my
while.
friend is my enemy.
Yeah, essentially, but it's like, but it's just like you just kind of
Oh
gotta
wait, no, I
like
said that wrong.
yeah, friend of
The
my
enemy of
friend
my
is
friend.
my friend of a friend.
The enemy of
Your
my enemy is my
father's
friend.
brother's roommate's former roommate. But
Blame
anyway,
it on the weed, ladies and gentlemen. Don't blame it on my heart.
yeah, don't worry. But yeah, there's that, and as you said, Helga's interruptions to the plot. Helga Pataki, and I've said this on my show many times, is one of the greatest characters
Hmm.
ever created for a cartoon.
Absolutely.
She is so fun, so hilarious, and like so adult written. And by that, I mean like it is written for the adults to watch her and appreciate what this character is doing.
And
It's like
so many
it's
layers to that character too.
so many layers to that character, but she's so cartoony because she's
Hmm.
this cartoonish asshole bully to Arnold,
Hmm.
this vindictive piece of shit, and then pull back the curtain, and she is because like they always do that tsundere thing of just like it's like, oh yeah, whatever, he's dumb, and then they'll kind of blush something, like just like little, no, full on shrine to this kid in her
Bubblegum,
room.
chewed up bubblegum shrine, ladies and gentlemen.
She is in love with this kid
Hmm.
and she cannot come to grips with this, and it's so foreign to her that she is in love with this kid that she has to literally shove him away as much as possible, because it's the only love language that she knows from from her home life. It's so deep and yet so funnily, it's like fun. It's done in such a funny way that the depth doesn't hit you until you're older, that you realize like, oh, like because you just think of like the fact that like, oh, you bully the kid you like, that's like a thing you do.
Yeah.
To have that depth of like her home life informs this about her, that she can't even bring herself to love this kid that
Hmm.
she's in love with. It's just, it's so good, it's so good, and it's all there in the pilot. Go watch this pilot, go watch Hey Arnold, it's
Go
phenomenal.
go watch it a couple times, and
Yeah.
we're at this. She's got my favorite line from Helga, and it's not in the pilot. It's from Arnold's Christmas, and then she's over there, and then she realizes that she's got to kind of help Arnold. Or the I can't remember the guy's name, but it was the guy that was helping
Miss
them find Mr. Wynn's daughter,
Yeah, yeah,
um, whatever
I forgot
his
his name
name
too.
was.
Yeah, I forgot
Um,
too.
but you know, the only way you could do it is if Arnold got all of the gifts and he got the
Mhm.
the boots, right? The boots that Helga got.
Yep.
And she here overhears that, oh, that was the only thing we needed. And then she goes, oh man, not another moral dilemma.
Moral
It's such a
dilemma.
it's such a great fucking line. I mean,
Yes.
that's like some not Sesame Street, excuse me. That's like some Muppet shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's such a brilliant line.
A kid of her age would have like wouldn't know that word or
Hmm.
would have picked it up off a TV show.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that would come to your brain. And then I start using it as part of
Hmm.
mine because like I kind of like I don't know what moral dilemma means, but I know
Yeah.
it means she wants to make a choice. So that's like, okay, got it. So, so funny, so
You
fun.
know, You know what that reminds me of that you're just talking about. You remember in Talladega Nights where the
Mhm.
kids are running anarchy, anarchy, and the little kid
Anarchy,
goes, "I don't know what it means, but I love it."
but I
That's what
love
it
it.
remind. That's what you reminded me of. I could just see the
Right?
little fucking Brandon running around. Not
Yeah.
another moral dilemma. And your mom, dad, are like, the
Like,
fuck's this guy talking about? We'd
where
ask him if he
did you
wanted
hear
frosted
that word?
flakes or fruity
It's
pebbles. What dilemma,
I,
Brandon?
Bro, I did that so many times with a cartoon. I would grab onto a phrase and I would just take it, and then my
Mhm.
parents would hear me. And it was never like a dirty phrase. All I'd watch was cartoons, So like I would say a word and like, where did you learn that word? Like that's
Yeah.
such a weird word for you to know. Why would you know that? And he was like, I don't know, heard it from something. So
Osmosis, ladies and gentlemen,
osmosis, baby.
osmosis.
Yeah.
Um, out of this one, I'm just going to rank them all together in one shot from,
Hmm.
I can't remember if the intro is in this pilot, but I will say Arnold, as far as intros go, second greatest behind Batman, the animated series for me. There's not too many things like it that kind of
Yeah.
started my like opening up. And then I'd asked, both, Craig Bartlett and, for the life of me, I can't remember his name, Jim. I apologize, Jim, the composer for this one.
Hmm.
Um, you know, acid jazz,
Yeah.
and this opened up
Yeah.
like everybody wanted Arnold's room. That was another cool thing about the pilot.
Mm.
I mean, the
Yeah.
visuals in this one, doing such a disservice to this one,
Yeah.
but the visuals in this, we just talked about the bully, but like everybody wanted Arnold's room. You go up there
Right.
and as a kid, it's like the coolest fucking room until
Yeah.
you realize like sunlight hurts. Especially
Yeah.
during the middle of summer, and then you've got that open terrarium. It's gonna
Yeah.
smell like a turtle tank in there, but you see, and I talked about this when I was talking the pilot not too long ago, but it's the walking of like it's like a Godzilla moment where all of the kids are giants. They're walking through the city and they're climbing the side of the thing, climbing the side of the building.
Yeah.
It's such a visually stunning um episode, like pilot. You're like, wow, fuck, man. They were doing some like crazy shit back in the day on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and all that other things.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, such a stunning pilot. Beautiful art. I can't tell you guys. You guys know how I feel about. I mean, I've had Craig on like three times already.
Yeah.
But it's like go back and watch this pilot and go back and watch the series. If you guys get anything from us talking about these pilots, one is just go
Mhm.
watch more animation. Two, if you listen to me get very upset about Infinity Train not being on anything to buy, really, you can get a DVD here and there, buy some of it on streaming. It's just
Yeah.
support this shit ahead of time. Like Brandon, I know you're a big proponent on this on your podcast, so I'm not telling you anything you're not doing already. But buy physical media as much as possible because I can't get season 3 of Infinity Train on Amazon because the rights have been. It'll literally say the rights have reverted back to somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to like scour around for this shit.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say this, man. We've got YouTube, we've got Paramount Plus. Go back and watch Hey Arnold. Go back and watch
Yeah.
Batman, Infinity Train, and Gravity Falls, and
Yeah.
King of the Hill. And the next one that you're going to talk about, what's the next one you're going to? Oh wait, hold for fuck man. Ratings: 5 out of 5, 10 out of 5. 100.
Mhm.
A beautiful show from start to finish, from intro to animation to storyline, man. But what about you?
Yep. Intros is a solid 5.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold. Animation's 4 out of 5, and story was 5 out of 5. It's phenomenal. It's great stuff.
Yeah, perfect pilot, perfect show, man. But
Yep.
so your next one, your fourth one, and then we'll get to the honorable mentions after.
Yes, the TMNT pilot Turtle Tracks, baby. It's
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Ninja
Turtles.
Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let
What's
me
your
take you
favorite turtle?
back. It's Donatello. So
Okay, I was about to say if you say anything that's not Raphael or Donatello, I'm like, all right, you're wrong, you're
yeah,
wrong,
I
you're
mean,
wrong.
like I appreciate that everybody has their favorite type of turtle.
Yeah, but everybody else is wrong.
It's true because Donnie is the best. So
I'm
it's like
taking this from your show because I love how you open up the shows. You'll be like,
yeah,
"Hey, such and such, what's your
right.
favorite animated show?" And then they'll say, "He's like, oh, you're wrong. It's actually this." I
You're
love, I love that. I'm channeling Brandon for just a minute, so you're
it's
wrong,
my
but I'll allow it.
it's a great bit. In this completely subjective question, you're wrong. But yes, yeah. So let me take you back to young Brandon way back in the day.
We need a
Uh,
woo.
my dad had heard about this show. My dad is a big cartoon. He's a big comic guy. He's the reason I watch all this stuff. He's massive nerd like me,
Who's
and
got
that's
better
that.
taste?
Oh, I do. But well, I mean, we have a lot of the same. That's the thing. It's like, we have a lot of the same
When
taste.
the
Like
student has
it's
become the master, does he bow at
right.
you when you
Yeah.
come in?
No, no, it's a he would never. It's like I disappoint him on a constant basis. No, no, it's like no, that's a fun bit. Whenever I say something stupid or I make like a
Mhm.
bad joke, like at a family thing, my dad just has the go to dad joke. He just turns and goes, "He makes me prouder every day." Just like that's just his go to joke every time.
That's a
But
good
I've
one. I'm gonna start
yeah.
using that one.
Oh yeah, I have a great relationship with my dad, but there's that, and he knew that this cartoon was coming out, right? And I don't know if I watched like trailers for this sorts of stuff, but
Was he
he
reading the
would
comics? Did that how you
he
find out?
he had never read the comics, but this is the thing. He had the first issue, not a first print, a reprinted issue that came with Wizard magazine.
Mm.
So he would always have the Wizard magazines, and I'd read through those a lot of the times. Even before I read comics on a regular basis, like he had like, hey, here's this comic. They're making this into a cartoon, and it was like a special new edition of like the first story of TMNT that these two dudes just created at some point in like 1985. I forgot when that comic first happened, but
84.
84, my birth year. So yeah, so 84. This was a reprint, and it had a bunch of like extra stuff in it that was like, oh, this like some of the character sheets for the cartoon that was coming out. So it was like stuff like that, like in the back of it. It might be worth something nowadays. I don't
I
know.
have to
I don't know
imagine
if
it
he's
would be.
yeah, I don't know if he still has that. It's definitely not worth as much as like an original number one, but of the comic. But
Yeah, I think
um,
the last one went for like $45,000.
yeah, I don't think it's probably that much.
Yeah.
But I feel like somebody would like kind of be like, oh, this is cool. It's got some stuff to it. But I'm sure it's nothing you can't just look up nowadays. Um, and that was like the first thing saying, oh, they're making this into a cartoon, and I was like, what? Turtle ninjas, what is this wonder, what is this, huh? I don't know, what do you mean, what are you talking about, and this was like a year before it happened, and I remember like almost every month that year, like, is that show coming out yet? And he would tell me it's in a couple months, it's in 3 months, it's in 2 months. This was like
He
my
makes me prouder every day.
my child brain can't get around the idea of like time at that point. My heart's going. It's because when you're a kid, you're like the Flash. Your like
Hmm.
heart's beating like way too fast, and like time is slowed, and everything is slow. Now time can't stop. You're like, oh, it's the
Yes.
middle of April. What the fuck happened to the beginning of the year? Where were we?
You
So
ever seen the
it
movie The Ringer?
yes, yeah, yeah,
When the
yeah.
fuck did we get ice cream?
When the fuck did we get ice cream?
Ask me about any movie. Josh, that's a great movie.
That's a great movie. Anyway, it's like so like but every day I'd be like, when's this thing coming out? And then finally it did. That first episode hit, and I was gripped immediately.
Mm.
I immediately had a crush on April O'Neil. I still do to this day. It just was like, okay, yeah, this is my show. I understand. This is what I was made. And I think that was the first show that I watched from the start, like of
Hmm.
its air date. I want to say it was that because it was 88,
7.
correct? 87.
Yeah.
And it was five, it was just the 5 episodes
Hmm.
was season one. And then season two and 88 had like the fuller seasons, right? But that was the first show
How
I
old you were at the time? In
I'd have
87?
been four. I'd been four in
Yeah.
87, or yeah, I'd have been 4 years old in 87, or three in 87. Sorry, three or
Yeah.
four. So yeah, depending on when it
Damn.
landed,
They
but
got you young, man.
they got me young, and that's the first show that I watched from beginning to end. I remember watching that on TV when it
Hmm.
aired, and like Bebop and Rocksteady, the
Casey
Turtles,
Jones.
Casey
Yeah.
jo- yeah, but just like that first episode where you see the mutations happen and you
Hmm.
have this explanation, and like, ah, man. And it's definitely like, because when I was a kid, I was so young, I never read the comic. I flipped through it like a billion
Hmm.
times, but I could see these characters, and when I saw the Shredder, I knew who that was. I was
Oh,
like, oh, that's
such a
this
cool
guy
fucking
here. So cool, so
coolest
cool. And
villain. I'll go down
yeah.
and say it. Coolest villain of all time. He made purple fucking cool. He made cheese
Oh,
graters even
yeah,
cooler.
he did do that.
Greatest villain of all time.
Yeah, I mean Skeletor made purple cool first, but it's fine. It's fine. Like Shredder did
Do
a
you really
be-
want to? Do you
did a
really
decent
want to
job.
go blow for He-Man I mean, Skeletor to Shredder? We gonna do that right now?
Blow for blow, yeah, 100%. I will. I will stand
Shredder,
for both of them. I mean,
Shredder. Oh,
yes,
hell on, let me get it
I
up here.
will.
Shredder, and then you got
Mhm.
Skeletor right about
I would
here.
say Shredder, Skeletor. Like it's just below,
Ladies and
just
gentlemen, in the
below.
comments below, let us know. Are
Yeah,
you a Shredder, Team Shredder, or Team Skeletor?
and and that was immediate too. Like like his little entrance. He's barely in that first episode. He's barely there. He's on a console looking at them, and he recognizes their their fighting style and realizes that that's
You know who
Hamato
voiced him, right?
Yoshi. What's that? Oh yeah, Uncle Phil, of course.
Uncle Phil.
Uncle
Ladies and
Phil,
gentlemen, you
so
heard me
good.
get sentimental and tear up.
Yeah,
Everybody wanted a dad like Uncle Phil. So he
everybody
was
did.
both the greatest dad in live action
Mm-hmm.
and the greatest villain
Mm-hmm.
in animated sitcom
Animation.
history.
Yeah,
Oh, the
it's great
Shredder.
stuff. It's great
Greatest.
stuff.
But Skeletor.
I even called in the 2012 CGI animated series for TMNT. I said Kevin Michael Richardson will play Shredder because
Yeah.
I just knew I was like they're gonna get a big fucking black dude to play Shredder and
Hmm.
it's gonna be Kevin Michael Richardson and they did. I was like yes.
He was so good. He's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
I don't know one voice that he's not, doesn't crush, but
Hmm.
it's that character. I was like,
Yeah.
anytime they try to touch that character,
Hmm.
so I hear, fucking Kevin Conroy for Batman or read Batman.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily hear Uncle Phil, James
Hmm.
Avery, ladies and gentlemen, for
Sure.
that one. I hear the the voices that I hear in my head when I read Ninja Turtle comics
Hmm.
is that 1990s movie, right? So I
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
James Saito's character has got
Yes.
the augmented voice, so I hear like that sinister, that like
Yes.
evil, like that was like Shredder for me. But like I said, Shredder, such a great character.
Yeah. These turtles. Like it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah. And in the second, they're babies. But yeah, man. It's such a great character. And I love him all the way up to, you know, TMNT versus Batman. You know, TMNT Batman. You
oh,
know,
that's such a good one.
we got Batman versus Shredder, and it's the second scene of the movie. That's
Hmm.
my favorite. It's like just everyone's gonna ask this question, so we're gonna get it out of the way. Who wins in this fight? And it's great. So you know, it's awesome. So love that pilot. The animation never gets as good as those first five episodes,
No,
obviously,
it
because
gets
they
watered
have
down and cheap it out.
yeah, because they have like they have a shoestring budget to they have
Hmm.
like the same amount of budget for those first five as they did for the rest of the nine freaking seasons afterwards.
Hmm.
So they had to stretch this budget down to like the cheapest stuff. But you're a kid, you didn't care. Like it was just like
Nope.
it's this is
Ninja
awesome.
Turtles
Like
was on. Everybody
Ninja Turtle,
hush.
and it was the music that really brought it in. You know, like that music kept you in that game. You know,
Hmm.
da-na-na-na-na-na. Like you knew when an episode was coming, you knew it was going to be fire, and when they ramped up the music, you were in for a fun little action sequence. Like you know, whether it was animated like garbage didn't matter.
Hmm.
You knew what was you were in store for, and it was great, and I loved it. So wonderful stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I give this one 5 out of 5. Like
Hmm.
5 out of 5 turtle shells for
Yeah.
this one across the board as well,
Yep.
man. Like I said, another perfect pilot,
Yep.
another fun series, man. What says you about the pilot, man? How you ranking it?
5 out of 5 on all accounts. It's great. You know, we said we're not ranking them. It's probably my top one simply for the fact that I watched it day
Yeah,
one for the first time. That was the first show. So there you go. So boom.
absolutely. Couldn't bet against it. Couldn't vote
Hmm.
against it, man. All
Yep.
right, so my fourth one. This one, I want to put Samurai Jack up here. Samurai Jack's actually my honorable mention. However,
Hmm.
Samurai Jack was a part of a two-parter. And I
Yeah.
really think, even though On Leathery Wings didn't come out first and that was the first episode, I really think you need both of the Samurai Jack episodes, right?
Right.
You do, but you don't. You know what I mean? I just think it helps.
Yeah.
I'd much rather like one long episode for an intro than the two episodes
Right.
we got. But I
Yeah.
think it, like I said, so just on that standpoint alone, ladies and gentlemen, love Samurai Jack. That's why he's in the middle of my
Hmm.
wall. back here for my mural,
Yeah.
but I'm going to put him on the honorable mention just because it was technically a two-parter.
Right.
And I'm going to put Bob's Burgers up here. The
Hey.
pilot episode, including that first season.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
All right, and we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening this far, which I hope you guys are, I apologize for all of the hiccups, technical difficulties along the way, and the pauses. So this one's going to
Hmm.
be a fun one to edit together. So Larry, buckle up, buddy. As far as the video portion goes, audio portion, it's gonna be just as labor intensive. But nonetheless, man, the one that I'm gonna pick here, like I said, is the Bob's Burgers pilot episode, Human Flesh.
Hmm.
This one is so funny. I found this
Yes.
show either the first or second season with this pilot episode. I might have seen the pilot episode when it dropped, and then I deployed probably shortly after because this is in that time frame of me being heavily deployed.
Right.
And I remember just being blown away, going, "Oh my God, this is." I can tell you the exact moment that this show hooked me because it was a joke that I didn't think one you can get in animation, and two, definitely during I want to say during that era because there was some shit that was going on that was kind of crazy with shows, but it just seemed like a joke from a long time ago type of thing, right? It didn't seem like it
Hmm.
was topical in 2011. But
Hmm.
when they go and they rewrite the burger of the day as the child molester, and then they put comes with a free piece of candy, I'm like, this show has balls, dude. This show is going for, like it's like
Hmm.
they took this one shot, like everybody tells you, if you ever get your foot in the door, right? That's all you need. Like they
Right.
got their toe in the door, their foot in the door, whatever you want to call it, and then they kick that fucker in with
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
episode, with this series.
Yeah.
This pilot episode, it starts out Bob giving the whole spiel to his family. It's a
Hmm.
restaurant that's probably not doing that great. They're really like
Hmm.
living, check to check essentially, but
Yeah.
they're a tight knit family. You get to
Yeah.
meet all of them. You get to meet their crazy quirkiness. You get to
Hmm.
see them for who they are. There's so many laughs in this episode. There's so much heart in
Hmm.
this episode.
Yeah.
And, this is something that I'm like going to put out there as well with this one. You see this throughout the entire series, but the reason I think I love this show so much is you see, and you don't see this very often in shows. Mainly, it's like hate kind of sells, but you see the
Yeah.
love for these characters. Like they love each other. You won't pick on my brother. You won't pick on my sister. You know what I mean? Unless you got to fight
Hmm.
all of us. You got to fight all the Belchers with this one.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love this show so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you picked this one because it wouldn't have hit my radar at all, like really,
Mhm.
for big pilots or whatever. But I remember not being thrilled for this show at all from the trailers.
How
I
dare
thought
you?
the art style was weird. I liked H. John Benjamin. That's like really the only thing that was like, I'll give this a shot because I really like Archer. I love his voice. I think
Did you
Coach
watch home
McGurk.
movies at all?
Oh, Coach McGurk is one of the best characters of all time. I love home movies. So, I was like, I'm gonna
And
give
you and
this.
you were still against the art style
I just,
watching.
right, yeah, just like, but again, it was just like, again, like it for some reason, like adult cartoons like had this thing of like we have to make everything look really ugly, and it's
Hmm.
been a thing for a while, and it was one of those, and they just had these no chins, and just like I was like, oh,
It didn't remind you of the Muppets at all?
a little bit, but it just
Yeah,
like, but it wasn't like in a flattering way because they looked like
gotcha.
flesh Muppets, just like, and like, and again, like it's like because they all had like actual skin tones,
Bento
so they just
box.
had these
That's a T-shirt right there. Flesh
flesh
Muppets.
Muppets, flesh Muppets. That's a Bender phrase
That's
for
a horror
humans,
series.
right? Yeah, that's a good Bender phrase. You flesh
Volume
Muppets.
1, The Flesh Muppets Return.
Anytime a robot is going rogue, they're gonna call them flesh Muppets. But anyway, so they just like it just wasn't appealing to me, and I
Uh,
wasn't like the other thing was like just the idea of like every single character apart from Louise being a dude. So like Tina was a guy, and
no, Tina was a girl.
Linda, well, but the voice
Oh,
actor was
got you, got you,
yeah,
got you, got you.
and Linda was a guy, but they're these dudes like doing girls' voices, and it's weird, Bobby, but that episode, I remember I was like, all right, I'll give this show a shot. It's after The Simpsons. I'll give it a shot. And that episode straight won me over. Like by commercial one, I was like, all right,
This is
this
it.
shows this is great. It's like this is awesome. And then and as I tend to do when I watch a show, I appreciate the art style more and more. That goofy art style that they have with that deadpan look when whenever someone's like seeing something happening, they're like, "What's going on? What's happening?" It's always funny because they're just like letting this chaos ensue, and they're just like, what?" It's so fun. The fact they have to reopen the restaurant like four times in the
Yeah.
pilot thing,
Grand reopening, grand
right?
reopening.
Reopening. The fact that the joke of the episode where they get called for the inspector because they're selling human meat is the original conceptual pilot of the
Yeah.
show. Which that's brilliant too, because like that was gonna be a show about these, this loving family that were also cannibals and were feeding people human meat out of their thing. And Fox said, "All right, take that down. We don't need that. We like the idea of a
You
family
get the
with a
child
burger."
molester joke, but let's
Right?
take
Yeah,
the
you got
cannibalism
the
out of this, please.
you got the CM joke. We'll let you have
Yeah.
that one, but keep the cannibalism off. We'll make it as and then turn that into like the major joke of the first episode. It's just genius. What a great show. What a great. I need to catch up on it. I'm way behind. Apart from the Thanksgiving episodes, I'm all caught up on those. But
Dude, this season is so good.
yeah,
Uh my wife doesn't listen to this podcast, so I've watched all of it ahead. I've watched this most current season. I'm trying to get them to catch up because I started rewatching it with Hayden and Katie,
yeah,
but with all the different work schedules and Hayden's school and karate, it's
yeah.
so fucking hard to like sit down and watch episodes together.
Absolutely.
Um, but we're on like season 8, and I'm like, God, but I've had people come on from Bob, so I was like, I have to watch these episodes. Some of these guys are giving
It's
me some of
true.
the new episodes, so I
Yeah,
technically say it's for work, because I'm reviewing this. I have to be
yeah.
informed, you know what I mean? So I kind
You
of,
know, yeah.
yeah. She
Got to
walked
do
in
it.
one time. She's like, "Why are you watching the new season?" I was like, "How do you know this is the new season? I
How
like
would
the
you
art
know?
style.
You don't know.
Like it looks newer." But yeah,
Yeah.
this show is just like so brilliant. And what I
Hmm.
love about this pilot is I think this is like the first time we've actually talked about this, but the editing is
Hmm.
so tight. This
Yes.
is a tight 22 minutes. This is a
Hmm.
fantastic
Hmm.
22 minutes. I mean, they hit joke and it's on to the next scene. Joke,
Yeah.
punchline, boom, boom, setup, punchline, setup, punchline.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it's in this episode. I think it is. I wish I would have went back and rewatched this pilot one more time. But is this the one where Tina goes like, "Hey, Dad, my crotch is itchy," and he goes,
Yeah.
"Are you telling me
Yeah.
that is my line cook or is my daughter? Because both of
Right.
them are inappropriate."
Because both of them are inappropriate. It's classic. I love it.
I,
I
I
love
I love that. Luis has always been my favorite character.
it.
It's
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
she's such a fun character, and especially you see that growth coming in. We
Yeah.
talked Helga back in the day, so
Hmm.
there's a sect of the fan base that kind of like Luis for what Luis was doing, but they kind of hate on
Yeah.
some of the kids as they've great, they kind of grown throughout the
Hmm.
15 seasons, and
Yeah.
not really grown in the show, but like grown in depth of character and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's I like the character that she's becoming.
Hmm.
You see it somewhat in the Hurt Soccer when they do the soccer, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Fuck, why is this feeling like I'm not trying, I don't want to be here, but I'm letting all these girls down. They really want to like play and win." So you see
Yeah.
little things like that along the way, man.
Yeah.
But this show does such a good job right out of the gate, giving you this dysfunctional family that's
Hmm.
really trying. Everybody brings something to the table. They all
Yeah.
fuck something up, but they all kind of like make amends. And it's like I said, it's like they all want to form like Voltron and come together. And it's just such
Yeah.
a unique message in a world where, like I said, just like hate kind of sells. You've got so
Yeah.
many shows that are on, Fox that are coming out with Bob's Burgers at this time. It's just like, let's just shit on Meg or let's just shit on Stan or it's just like, let's just be mean to
Yeah.
all these characters. And you kind of see it, but you see like the human element behind the show. And
Right.
this show is like the first show, and I talked about this with Joel Kuwahara, which is the co-founder of Bento Box, the guys that do Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
And he said like when Bob's was coming, like when people were like bringing us shows wanting to do it, he's like they would use one example as a show they want it to be like, and they would all say King of the Hill, right? And I
Right.
go, man, it's funny because this is like the first show since King of the Hill that I know I'm watching an animated show, but it feels
Hmm.
real. King of the Hill felt
Right.
real. Bob's
Yeah.
Burgers feels real. You know what I mean? The other
Yeah.
ones we mentioned doesn't feel real, but those two in particular, those feel
Yeah.
real to me.
Yeah. It's definitely because the the dialogue. It
Yeah.
hits so real. There's never been a better show that does step on you dialogue like that before, where someone's saying something, someone interrupts.
Hmm.
Dialogue is always very still, very like deliberate because you want the audience to hear it. This show doesn't give a shit about
Nope.
that. It's just like he'll be saying
Buckle up and
something,
rewind, ladies
and
and gentlemen.
and somebody steps on the line. Is it what? Huh? And they'll
Hmm.
do that like through it's so well done, and that's what hits the realism for it. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful.
And I
So
love the humor when somebody does. He's like, "Yeah, because I wasn't talking or anything. I wasn't explaining that."
yeah.
I
No,
love
it's
like
fine. I
the
wasn't
inside
talking.
baseball type, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And Bob's just a very relatable guy.
Hmm.
It's just like he just wants to cook a burger. He's actually good at something. That's the other
Hmm.
thing. It's like he
And he takes
actually
pride
is.
in it.
He takes pride in his burgers. He takes
Hmm.
pride in his cooking, and he's actually good at it. He actually does it. It's hard for him to get over as like a business owner, and stuff like that because
I want a cheeseburger
comp
right now, Brandon.
he's got competition, because he's not very likable, because he's all these other things, his idiosyncrasies block him from being like this big success, even though he's good at cooking. It's so funny. So it's great stuff. He's so relatable. So
I'm gonna DoorDash some burgers after this. I'm kind of hungry.
yeah.
But like I said, this one from start to finish, man, 5 out of 5. This show is so brilliant. I
Yep.
mean, it's like it. I don't drink, but it's like everybody says with wine. It only gets better with age.
Yeah.
There are some things that they've kind of had to curtail as the seasons have went on. They haven't been as able to be like it's not like the first season. I liken it to like the Wild West. It's just like anything's up for grabs.
Yep.
They're just shooting jokes out left and right,
Yep.
crazy premises. So start to finish, fantastic. Same thing with the pilot, man. From start to finish, it is a side
Yeah.
splitter. It's got heart, it's got humor, it's got anything and everything you could possibly think of. There's something in this pilot episode for anybody that watches it.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, this can be relatable.
Yeah. For sure. 100%.
So 5 out of 5 burgers across the board for me on this one. What says you?
5 out of 5. We'll go with it. 5 out of 5 burgers. It's great. And again, it gripped me like immediately. Like the opener is so fun with the re-reopen. They keep doing the
Hmm.
re-reopening stuff. It's great.
I
It's
love
very King of,
reading those too.
yeah. Speaking of King of the Hill, it's very King of the Hill, that
Hmm.
opener too. So it's like a mix of King of the Hill and Simpsons in a lot of ways. So, but love it. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it.
Absolutely, man. A lot of fun.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna throw my I alluded to it, but I'm gonna throw my honorable mention out there being Samurai Jack. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, I'm not gonna say too much about Samurai Jack that I haven't said before, man. Perfect show from start to finish. There's not one episode in there that I'm not and just enthralled with. The pilot episode was I couldn't appreciate it when I was a kid. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I couldn't appreciate it with this kid. I
Yeah.
appreciate the fuck out of that show right now. I'm gonna say it right here, right now. Greatest series to ever come out of Cartoon Network was
Yeah.
Samurai Jack for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So 5 out of 5 Akus, if you
Yeah.
will, for me on this one.
To come out of Cartoon Network, I think I agree. I think
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's the top Cartoon Network cartoon. It's so wonderful, and yeah, that pilot is. I'm shocked it's not on it, because the thing is, like, I would probably put Samurai Jack at my 5 as
Mm.
well. I didn't, because we wanted to keep some differences and, like, stuff like that when we were doing our lists. But like that introduction for Aku, I watched a billion times when I
Hmm.
was younger, and I wasn't like I was in high school, I think, when that came out, maybe like
2001.
2001. Okay, so yeah, mid high school. I was in mid high school. I watched that opener over and over and over and over, and that the pacing of that opening scene, where this evil is coming back to life, and it's not instantaneous. Like, it grows, and there's shot after shot of this tree reforming into
Hmm.
this demon, and his head slowly turns around, and his mouth is so 60 frames per second animated, as I once again I am. It's wonderful, wonderful
All
stuff.
right.
So
R.I.P. Mako.
R.I.P. Mako, man, he's so
Yeah,
good. He's so good.
absolutely.
Him and I,
So
he's in two of the greatest cartoons of all time, Samurai Jack and
that
Avatar.
he is
So
the last airbender.
yeah, so good.
Old Uncle I was funny how he
Yeah,
plays both yin and yang in that one.
right. Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So how many Akus are you rating out of this one?
It's 5 out of 5 Akus. Yeah, 100%. Five.
5 out of 5 Akus.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. We should talk. We should do like a full talk of that series actually, because I think my only episode of
Dude, you want
yeah,
to?
yes, because I think my only episode of that was just covering season 5 and like the
What? Are you
farewell to it.
serious?
Yeah, because
As
I don't think
long as you've been doing your show, that's it?
yeah, because I was gonna do an episode. I was gonna bring in a bunch of people and do a big old like Samurai Jack episode, and then like that year they announced season 5 was coming back, and I was like, and I like I was like, okay. And it's like so I was like, I just need to do the season 5, right? And so we did the season 5, and we talked about a lot of the other episodes, but I would love to sit down and do like a full talk of like all those episodes, and like maybe a top 10 episodes or something like that, something to that degree.
What
I
if
think that would be great.
what if we did, let's do top 10, but let's
Yeah,
make sure we take two from each season and then
yeah.
we do like you what was her name? You and the Simpsons one. Top 10
Eris,
episodes.
yeah, Eris, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Eris.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite episodes that you've done. I
Oh, thank
really
you,
enjoyed that,
thank you.
that might have been like that might have been like one of the ones that I go back and I re-listen to just
Yeah,
because like I'll get in the mood for The Simpsons and I'll go
yeah,
back and like I said I really like that episode and I'll go back and I'll listen to that one and then I'll see if I can pick out because I love both how you guys love it and shit on it in the same sense.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
yeah, yeah.
you get this like complete picture of what it is, man. So
Mhm.
let's do 10 and 10 and we'll flip flop episodes.
Yeah,
We'll do 5 on yours, 5 on my 10 collectively, but
yeah,
10 on yours, 10 on mine and then we'll talk about that. But we'll do 2 from each season.
yeah.
And like I said, split episodes. We'll do a Samurai Jack one. Yeah, man. So like I said, Samurai Jack, perfect
Let's
show.
yeah.
Genji's like fucking I don't even know how to like what I would say. It's like I don't want to say a swan song because he's still making such great stuff. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
Fixed coming out on my
Fixed is
birthday. You know what I
coming.
mean? So I'm
Yeah,
pretty
Fixed
excited
is
about
coming
that. I
out.
have to imagine Popeye is going to come eventually. They can't say no to that
Uh,
guy forever.
Popeye, I don't think can because it's not finished. It was never finished, and a lot of it was kind of put to Sony to just kind of wrap up and not do anything with. So I don't think that one's coming because it's a
If
Sony
Coyote
property.
versus Acme can
Yeah,
come out, who
but it was
knows?
finished. That's the thing. It was
Yeah, I
done.
mean, I guess
So,
so. I mean, I guess you
so
could get the band back together. Who knows, man?
yeah,
I don't want to say never, man, but it's
yeah,
like just
yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
hold
Who
out.
knows?
Write your
Who
congresses,
knows?
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Um, but let's rotate over to your honorable mention here. Well, it's a great one. It's another samurai one too.
Yeah, it's another samurai show, and again, my honorable mention probably is just Samurai Jack,
Hmm.
just to say. But I wanted to give a little bit of space to a newer show, very newer show. I was gripped by this opener. I was excited for this show. It wasn't like I wasn't like saying nothing about the show. Blue Eye Samurai looked really cool
Yes.
when the trailers were coming out, and I thought the animation style was unique, and it looked
Hmm.
very interesting. And I was like, okay, let's check this out. I was not like expecting it to be like one of the greatest things ever, and it was. And
Hmm.
that opener just was so Kill Bill gripping in
Oh
like
yeah.
every aspect. They even threw in a Kill Bill song.
Tarantino-esque from the start to the finish.
Yeah, and they even threw in a Kill Bill esque song. They even threw in one of the Kill Bill songs. So it was just like they wanted to make it very clear that like, did you like that? That's what this
Hmm.
is. And like, and it was awesome the way they set up her weighted clothing, the way they set up the like there. I've never seen a show so obviously telegraph something and
Hmm.
still surprise me.
Yeah.
Like they do that like 4 times in that show, and it's so good. And the weights, which is an old trope from freaking Naruto and Dragon Ball Z,
Dragon Ball
you know,
Z. Yep.
yeah, like that's an old trope from way back in the day. But the way they reveal it here is just like, oh, dude,
Hmm.
you bastards, you've done it. You know, it's like, and they of course telegraph that it's a girl, that she's a woman, and all that stuff. And, they don't say it, but you kind of know it, and then they drop it at the end, and it it's just great. It's just a great, great, great pilot. I give it an honorable mention because it's so new. I feel like it's
Hmm.
like there might be some like recency bias towards it. And also it's like 40 fucking minutes long, so it has a lot more to
Yeah.
go on than like, you know, the 5 minutes that regular show has to grip you in, or Infinity Train. It's like they got to grip you way sooner than this 40-minute program, but it's great. I absolutely love it.
Oh, it's cinematic from start to finish. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this one came out, what, 2022?
2022. Yep, 22.
And if I do remember on your yearly rankings, this was the your number one show.
Number one show for
Yeah,
the 2022. Yeah, it's 2022 or 2023. What are we in?
it might have been like early 2023.
Might have been early 2023. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'll have to look back, but yes, it was my top show of that year for sure. So
yeah, mine as well. I mean, it
yeah.
was cinematic. It was beautiful. It was dark. Like I'm not into like a bunch of like killing and gore and all that other shit with shows.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to like stay on the more funner side, just because it's just like I don't know why it just puts me in such a negative headspace, you know.
Right.
And I'm not one of those like hippie guys, you know what I mean? But it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe as I just get older, I'm a little bit more of a pussy, who knows? But it's just like this one, just I loved the story. It was a
Yeah.
story that's kind of been done before, foreigner on a foreign land, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it was just like the motive behind it, the characters. I love Swordfather.
Yeah.
Swordfather was
Oh,
such a
so
great
good.
character.
Sh-
Was it not Poe? Was it the no,
Um,
Jimbo.
Jimbo.
Um, yeah, the dude with no
Hmm.
hands, and then he
Hmm.
finds a way to make the world adaptable to him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He was so
Yeah.
resourceful. He was
So
that
good.
guiding light. He was like Jiminy Cricket in a sense. You
Yeah.
know, he was just such a fun character,
Yeah. It's
and there was just
great.
so much depth from him, or depth, excuse me, from him to Tigran to like
Hmm.
all of these characters. And
Hmm.
that episode, I know we're talking pilots, but like that episode where they do, it's like the demon, and they're explaining it through the puppets, essentially.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, best episode of the series. Then you got that one, and you got the cover from, what was it? For
Uh,
Whom the Bells Toll.
Roam the Bell Tolls by Metallica. Yeah.
Dude,
So,
when they hit that gong, I'm like, no.
oh, I,
And they go into it, and I'm like, no. And
are they
and let's
seriously?
fucking go.
It's so good. I love the Japanese singing in that song.
Hmm.
I want that song to be more like quote unquote like feudal Japanese
Yes.
version, because it's so cool when they start singing in Japanese. I'm just like, this is fucking rad. It's so good. I love it. Oh
Yeah.
man. And yeah, and as you said, Swordfather, Shang Tsung playing him, and it's just like
Dude, that
his
was such a
probably his
great
second best role apart from Shang Tsung. Yeah,
oh, dude, he
so
fucking
good.
he crushes.
Uh,
But ladies and gentlemen, we're talking pilots and we're talking cartoons. And like we do when every
yeah.
time Brandon's on here, man, like I said, this is the reason I do my show. I'm sure the reason you do your show. It's a love letter to something that has like given us so much, right? So we always
Yes.
want to make sure like we try to pay it forward. We don't have this without the stuff that we consume. You know what I mean? So go out there and watch these shows that we talked about. And then even like when we went down the secondary and third roads that we talked about. We weren't even talking about animation. Watch those too. Go out there and
Yeah.
find something. And if you like this, man, tell us what your favorite pilots were. Hit us in the comment section below, on
Yeah.
both my show and on Animation Destination. Because, like I said, if you like my show, you're gonna love Brandon. Brandon, I tell you this all the fucking time. It's like you are one of the most intelligent people when it comes to animation. You have such a fucking steel trap. You have forgotten more shit than I can ever fucking retain when it comes to animation,
Yeah.
man. So I'm glad that I had you on here for this one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As always, I love your show as well.
Thank you.
You have the balls and like just the tenacity to reach
It's just
out.
no shame. It's just no
Well,
shame.
yeah,
Hey, want to come on my show?
but to reach out to these guys, and it's just I just need to do that more often, because it's just so cool to grab people that are in the industry and stuff like that. And I want to do more things like that. I'm just such a lazy bastard about setting up like setting up like a whole studio situation to do like this sort of thing. Like I have my background blurred here because my room is an absolute trash fire behind me. So, and I just, I couldn't possibly, have that be a regular thing all the time. But yeah, if you could have Larry like tighten in on my
Oh, I
body
got you.
when we form this thing. But yeah, but seriously, it's so fun listening to your stuff. And I think we're two sides of a great coin, for animation. And we should definitely, get some more people, to join in our chats and stuff. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Usually we get multiple people on here, but I know when we were talking pilots, I knew for sure you were going to be on it. The other two guys that we usually have, both Ricky and Ty, they were 50-50. Just they
Mhm.
got a lot of stuff going on, so
Yeah,
it's not as hard. It's harder for them to kind of drop everything they were doing because Ricky was moving,
yeah,
and then Ty's got a new baby, so it's definitely a lot hard. Me,
yeah.
I've got somewhat older babies, so they can kind of, even though I had to hit pause to go put one back to sleep, they can kind of work some shit out for themselves. But like I said, I knew I was
Hmm.
going to have you on here, and this probably would have been like a 6 hour podcast if we would have had anybody else, which isn't bad.
It's true.
This is
Yeah,
not bad. We had to break it up into two parts.
sure.
But it's like I said, it's always a blast. Ladies and gentlemen, go out and watch these shows. And like I
Yeah.
said, hit us in the comments below with what you think your top four, your Mount Rushmore of cartoons is, man. They could be cartoons, it could be animation, hit us what you want. Shit, it
Hmm.
could be even live action movies, man. I love getting recommendations because like
Hmm.
we started this show, I got a recommendation from a show that
Hmm.
it's 10 o'clock here, right?
Yeah,
I try to be in bed by like
yeah.
9:30, 10 o'clock, at least reading. That way I go to sleep by 10:30, 11 in theory,
Right.
but I'm going to go and I'm going to buy them on digital, even though I just bought
Yeah.
them on physical copy. And I'm going to go watch the first season of Infinity Train and go into work, drag my ass into work,
Yes.
exhausted tomorrow.
It's probably a bad idea, but you'll enjoy the show. You'll
I
enjoy
work
the
I
show.
work with sharp things and fire in the kitchen. So as long as as long as I tuck my fingers and I kind of like tuck my elbows,
Yep.
I
Yep.
won't lose too much.
Yes.
But if I
Agreed.
do, that means I get to go home and I
Hmm.
get to watch season two and season
Yeah.
three while I heal up. I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
going to cut myself. I'm just saying if something does happen,
If something does happen,
yeah, I
God
get a little
forbid.
extra leave.
God
Yeah.
forbid.
Nah, it's not going to happen. But nonetheless, man, this is always a blast. He's been Brandon
Yeah.
from the Animation Destination. I've been Julian from the Cartoon Chronicles podcast, and this has been another piece of your childhood. Good night.